Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. And I really hope that stops playing after it stops playing. Gary button. I got a Gary button, guys. I got a Gary button. Yay! I'm so happy. I'm so happy I got a Gary button. It's amazing.
Longest
it's amazing.
applause ever.
Oh, it's so good. It's like 20 seconds long. But I feel, I don't know, because I listened to that for longer than I should have to figure out like where the proper, because that clip was really long. That clip was like a 45-second long clip. And I listened to it for much longer than I should have to try to figure out where a good cutoff was. And I can actually cut it off myself. So if I play it in the middle, I'm like, okay, cool, we'll let it go. And then I'll just feel out like, you know, but yeah. So, no, gentlemen, how has your week been?
Very busy, very festive.
See.
Yeah, I didn't really do much this week.
Oh, there you go.
That was sarcasm.
I actually have been trying to get back into the groove of things. I took a week off because I got some version of the plague and then went down for a week, and then like getting back into work and then videos every night and then having to do thumbnails. I'm just like, I don't know how to do this anymore. And I still
Race.exe has stopped responding.
I have stopped responding. You see, I get the error message in my brain, and then I punch my brain for a little bit, and it's like, okay, we'll do it. So that's usually how I get through life. I just refuse to let my brain do what it wants to do, and I make it do what I want to do, and it hurts a lot. Shut up, Richard.
I'm actually responding to my wife over there. She's off screen gesturing at everybody. There we go.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Mrs. IronAge.me. Yes. Yes.
That's what it says on the marriage certificate. Yes.
There you go. Well, hey, you made it official.
Yeah, I survived the ASMR punishment from last week. So.
Oh my God, I can't believe. I love our group streams. They're so fun. They're so good. You never know where those streams are gonna go, and I honestly think that those conversations are fantastic. But gentlemen, before we get to you guys, we have to get to the chat and say hello to the chat. So, because the chat is why we're here. And it's on Top Chat. I changed it to live chat. It's on Top Chat. I hate YouTube. I'm going to change it here in a minute. And so, hello. Darkish Multiverse is down there in the chat. He gives a cheers. We've got Midnight Mike. He says, hail to the crazy one. Oh, no. Oh, God. People are hailing me. That's disturbing. Paladin Dragoon Rider says, huzzah. JVP Music, you're double dipping, good sir.
I came here more to interact with the chat than you guys. I'm just kidding.
Fair enough.
Your chat was very supportive of me, so I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you very much.
Wow. So chat, you guys are super awesome. Nikolai Paulwell says hello, everybody. Asher Brunert, I hope I say his name right. He says greetings. Chaos Cat, I didn't know we were playing 11 tonight. I'll go RDM and DRK. I don't know what that means. Horizon Talker says hello. Swift Sword Rush is down there as well. Maji Chan, hello. Isidro Lopez Irwin. I didn't roll my R. Isidro. There we go. I rolled it too much. Damn it.
There you go. Now it's Lord of the Rings.
I know, right? Right. Raul Nyanzi, he's down there in the chat as well. Joseph Peck, hello. How are you doing? Mediocrity 4. Hello, how are you doing? The Lord Otter, it's fantastic to see you. Chris M, hello, how are you guys in the chat? Sam Rogers down there as well. Toxic Crusader, oh God, the Toxic Crusader's here. That's
He's always
the
here.
thing. He's sometimes here, and when he is here, he breaks me. The crap that guy will put in the chat, I'm just like, sir, I can't. I can't. Skunk's Workshop, he is down there. He is he's been waiting for this one, wants to find out about JVP for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. We have Heterico Media Podcast. Yeah. Hello, good sir. How are you? You're a new name to the chat. Viper Christ, also a new name to the chat. It's fantastic to see you all down there. Ram is down there as well. Silent Unseen, hello. The chat jumped on me. Brian McCoppin, hello, how are you? Anthony Rondinelli, what's going on? We've got a lot of members here tonight. That's fantastic. Cider, oh, Cider's in the chat. Cider Hype, how are you, good sir? Cider is the co-host for the John De La Rose shows, so that is fantastic to see him here.
Right on.
Yeah, Swift Sword Rush, did I say hello to you? If I don't remember, did I say hello to Swift Sword Rush? I'm just going to pretend that I didn't and say hello again because I don't remember.
That works.
The coffee is real. The coffee. We're starting off with coffee, and then I'll move to the beers here in a minute. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to switch to live chat now. I can't believe it's on top chat. I hate when it's on top chat. It's annoying. Just so you guys know, top chat doesn't show the thought bots when they show up, so I can't nuke them. Live chat does. I don't know why YouTube defaults. It's so strange. Toxic Crusader, Manosphere.
Maybe YouTube wants the thought bots in your chat.
Oh, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. But we're not going to get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to introduce my fantastic co-hosts here. And we will start with the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who is too busy for his own damn good. Mr. Richard from IronAge.media. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm making myself even busier, actually.
I feel
so.
I feel that
good way, I hope.
I feel that in my soul so bad.
Yeah. So I've made a few kind of like under the hood changes on the site this past week, so that's been nice.
Right on.
We got we closed up November voting for the short stories there.
Sir, it's almost January.
I know. I'm
messing with you.
The problem is, I was gonna say it takes 2 weeks for the last one to come in, and then a week for voting. So, it's a little bit of delayed response there. But speaking of Horizon Talker, who I saw in chat, he was the editorial pick for November, so his story actually went up today.
Right on.
It's awesome. Lady of Marble. I suggest you check it out. It includes some illustrations that he did as well with it. So
nice.
That's a first for the featured stories. Just a lot of things going on. I'm working with Skunk's Workshop on a little prototype project that he dangled an idea in front of me, and I unfortunately chased it like the undisciplined creature that I am. So, but overall, good week.
Good deal. I had to read this one. The Toxic Crusader conspiracy theory. Royce is planting thoughtbot agents to justify his harassment of Calvin, much like the FBI planted agents during February's. Oh God. Toxic. Oh, that man's.
I'd believe it.
No, I mean maybe. We don't know yet. Nobody can confirm nor deny this. I was also the and for those that just so everybody is very aware, I also made sure that I actually faked the moon landing as well. I was the camera guy for that. I then also, years later decided to build the secret underground, world underneath Denver International Airport, and there's several other conspiracies I'm a part of, and I'm good with it. It's fine. All right, Mr. Daniel P. Riley, how has your last week been? What? That's okay. Well, come on, good sir, give me more.
Where's the Chronicler short story? We chop.
Yeah, I know it's not finished. I didn't have a great week. I had a
I'm sorry.
Had a family loss. So
no.
I had to deal with all week. Took away a lot of my focus and time.
I understand.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for harassing you, man.
Yes. No, it's all good. This is one of those things that happens.
I've had many of them.
The Christmas story is going to be way late. What can you do
Daniel, if you don't mind, and this is something that I mean sincerely, if everybody in the chat, I don't necessarily need the name of your family loss, but it's something that I feel deeply, and something I actually say this prayer every time that I go past graveyards and all that. But if you don't mind, Daniel, I would like to say a quick prayer for your family loss. So,
Thank you.
all right. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Ghost, amen. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them, and may the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen. And ladies and gentlemen, I would ask all of you out there, if you guys have ever experienced loss or anything of that nature, make sure to take a quiet moment and say a prayer or share some thoughts with Daniel and his family, because I've been there, and it is a very trying time. So, sir, hopefully after that you have the energy to be able to handle Iron Age nights, as it were. But
Yeah, I'll be good, if a bit quiet, maybe.
there you go. I understand that. I understand. And like I said, so, well, moving on from the somber moment, and I do apologize, but I
can give
have
you a
to-
cheerful moment if you want.
Yeah, let's do. Yes,
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
real
Let's do the
real
cheerful
quick
moment.
cheerful moment. Really cool Christmas present I got. If you want to blow up my screen, I'll show you.
Ooh, blow up the screen.
Don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh,
tis his
Whimsyland.
glass.
Yep.
Ooh,
And
look-
it came
That
with
is awesome.
my new storage
Oh.
apparatus.
Oh,
There you go.
oh, good
Yep.
sir, you make me jealous. Oh,
Full of redemption rye, which I'm about to crack open now.
oh,
Very nice.
I'm gonna have to
Did
start.
did Royce ruin your Christmas present for
I
your
did
daughter?
not. I
No.
did not.
Thank goodness.
No.
Thank goodness.
I felt super bad about that, and I was like, I messaged him on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I hope she didn't actually go back and watch the stream."
No, she didn't, and she was absolutely over the moon about it.
Awesome.
It's
Good.
one of my favorite things with Christmas is to find some sort of zany gift for people that they don't even think about, but they're just awed by. I love doing
Oh.
that.
That's awesome. That is absolutely fantastic. And before we get to our esteemed guest, we have a super chat that is relevant to the conversation. And just so you guys know, if you guys make funny super chats, I will read them at the end. If you guys make relevant relevant super chats to the conversation that we're having, I will read them as soon as I feel that there is a natural break in the conversation. And Ghost Cat says, "I'll drink to that. I had a loss too. Let it ground you." Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And cheers to those, and our thoughts go out to those who have had losses. I have experienced them many times in my life, and well, I hope to not experience them anytime soon. And with that being said, on that somber note, I'm going to radically shift the tone of the conversation and say, ladies and gentlemen, our
One might say
esteemed...
ruthlessly.
Yes, one might say ruthlessly. I'm going to shift to our esteemed guest, Mr. JVP Music. Good sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, but should I shift it back to even make it more somber?
I'm okay with that.
Or should I go this? So
Hey,
You're the
it's
guest.
your-
You're the guest.
Take,
your
take,
10
you got the
man.
floor.
I have two rules on this show. First rule is please don't do anything that goes against YouTube guidelines, which sucks, but they supersede me.
Yeah.
And well, if they didn't exist, I would have one rule, and that is never attack my chat. I don't care if my chat's attacking you.
no.
You don't attack my chat. That's, and those are my two rules. Just, don't get me banned from YouTube, and, let the chat be as filled with shenanigans as they want to be.
No, me and your chat are ride or die already. And as far as breaking the rules, I mean, I was going to get naked at the end of the stream, so that's disappointing that I can't do that now.
That's the after
That's
show.
the after show.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
There is actually an after show too. That's
Usually, yeah.
Nice. That's the OnlyFans part.
Right. Oh boy.
I'm in the same boat as Daniel. Ghost Cat, who sent that super chat, that's actually my brother and the narrator of Ruthless. So when we start hearing the clips, that's him.
Oh.
And
wow.
yes, we had a death last week. The funeral was it was yesterday and today. So we know what you're going through, but we can take everything that we learned from, our family members that raised us and drive it forward and pass it on to other people. And I think that part's hopeful. So we can't get too down.
Agreed.
No, and I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree at all. And I do. This does start on a somber note, but I feel the conversation is important. There are people out there who inspire us from all walks of life to do the things that we're doing, and the man that inspired me, who I'm partially named after, my son is named entirely after, was my grandfather. And I sit there and there have been times in my adult life when I've had dreams. And grandpa is just sitting there talking to me, and he's just going, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's the one thing, is the best way to honor those who we've lost is to make sure that you do what you do to the best of your ability and learn those little lessons from them. I have others that I won't share, but I feel that those in our past, whether living or not, take us to the new places that we're going. And I want to turn that over to JVP and ask, how is it that you've been impacted by those in your life to do what you're doing with Ruthless and connecting just a heavy metal genre with the comic genre? What people in your life have inspired you to do this?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. All right, so this is going to take up the rest of the stream, right?
I ask nothing less. Dude, that's great. I don't have to do anything else.
No, you have to do any work. All right, so I was extremely lucky. I grew up in a big Italian family, close, 2 parents, older sister, younger brother.
That's the accent. I was trying to figure it out. Now I get it. Okay.
Yeah. Lots of cousins. So who passed that? It was my Aunt Phyllis, which is my grandmother's sister. But basically the core of the family that we grew up with, it was my grandmother, and then, her kids and grandkids, and her 2 sisters, Aunt Phyllis, Aunt Teresa. And Aunt Teresa actually passed a couple months ago. So they both passed this year. It's been a rough year. But all the kids, all the grandkids, the cousins, that was like the core of the family. So, we grew up in a very, very lucky environment. And a lot of people aren't so lucky. When we started playing heavy metal, which is, we started a band when I was about 19, 20. This is the Wall of Metal Rain here. This is all my old band stuff. Our family all came out. Mom, dad, sister, my grandmother. My grandmother used to come out to heavy metal shows and sit right behind the mosh pit as it was going on. So that's
please tell me you guys weren't using like half stacks.
Full stacks. Get out of here. Half stack.
Oh my God, your grandmother sat front row and you guys were using.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that poor woman. You guys.
That's an awesome grandmother.
Do you guys know what? For those in the chat who don't know what a full stack is, a full stack is essentially an amplifier speaker, just a speaker cabinet that has 8 different, we would call them speaker cones in the music world, but just 8 different speakers in them. They literally stand, I shit you not, 6 feet tall. And those things did you guys use tubes, or did you guys use hybrids, or what did you guys use for amplifiers?
Yeah, so I guess I have to somewhat correct. It was a double stack, so it was 2 4s, not 1 8. But
same thing, right? Okay, so it was 2 halves. It was 2 half stacks, not a full. Okay, so it was 2 halves and not a. Okay, what did you guys use? What were you?
I had a solid state Marshall amp, and then my buddy had a tube PV head. So he used tube. He was the rhythm, and I was the lead.
The old PV. Wait, what? All right, sorry, I'm gonna nerd out. But no. So for those who don't know. When you're in a small room and you have 2 half stacks or a full stack, or even just a half stack, which is just 4 speakers in front of you, those things are effing loud. Yeah. And by effing loud, I mean literally it rattles your eardrums and then starts rattling your brain. And that's why musicians have hearing damage.
Well, we didn't make it too far before we started using the earplugs. So thankfully we were smart. I definitely have hearing damage, but it would have been much worse without those plugs. So if you do play something loud, use those little orange plugs you can stick in your ear.
Dude, I always just use my Black Star, like my HT40, and we'd mic it up. And if we had direct in, we could. but that was, I mean, a 40-watt amplifier is enough to power a room, you know. And I was always on the quieter side of the rock and roll stuff because I wanted the sound to be balanced. And some guys would just come in, drop their amps on the stage, crank it, and you just like, it's like there was a lot of guitar and then nothing else. So your family comes in, they sit down in the front row. Your grandmother sits in the front row of a metal concert where you guys are using amplifiers.
Metal grandma.
And so how does that lead you into doing a metal music comic book? How do you get there?
Yeah. Okay. So here I'll go into the origin story. And Ghost Cat's a big part of this, and I think you're going to find out some things about me, Royce, that you're going to be excited about.
I am excited. Give me 2 seconds here, because I make this promise. If it's relevant to the conversation, I want to catch them here, and if it's just funny for the conversation, I'll catch them later. That's the rule of the show. The chat decided it. Kikomon for $5. His best way to mourn is to appreciate those who passed with the memories they left you. I do not mourn the dead as they move closer to God. So thank you so much for that, Kikomon, and I absolutely agree with that. I think that's a good thing. And Mr. JVP, I will turn it back over to you, good sir.
Sure. Shout out to Kikomon. Probably, I would say #1 fan of yours. He's got to be, right?
I don't. He's definitely the #1 super chatter, but over on my Gilded, which I will share in the links below because that's what you're supposed to do. But over in my Gilded, man, dude, my community over on Gilded is unparalleled. Like it's straight up the best community on the internet. And that's not even that's not a contest. Straight up, my Gilded community is the best community on the internet, period. We have people that go over there, they talk about writing and new stories, and they talk about just funny memes that they see. They talk about deep politics. They talk about philosophy. They just have fun with each other. They poke fun. Like, my Gilded community is the group of friends I wish I could have found in like real life. And I finally found it, man. Just straight up. So I can't say that he's my #1 fan. Definitely my #1 super chatter based off of the dollar amounts.
He's the Lord of Soy.
He is the Lord of Soy. Kikomon is absolutely the Lord of Soy. And Herman P. Hunter, we make fun of Royce behind his back. I see everything you guys do in my Gilded. Trust me, it's not behind my back. It's full frontal in my face. It's lovely. It's like I wake up at 4 a.m. to say hello to everybody, and all of a sudden it's just like, Royce sucks. And I'm just like, that's a great way to wake up. But anyway, sir, I will turn it back over to you. I do apologize. I have tangents. I apologize.
Okay. You guys can interrupt me at any time. No problem.
All right.
Okay, so origin story, because everybody likes a good origin story, right?
Yes. Please tell me you're not going to talk about how your parents got shot in a back alley after a movie, like
and the pearls hit the ground and scattered.
Wow, it's that.
And the sound they made inspired him.
I've seen that story though. Like, can you come up with something? No, never mind. Go on.
All right, so 19, 20 years old, we started our first band, Metal Rain. It was myself, my brother, and 3 of my best friends. When I was in high school, I was in drumline. So I've been playing music all my life. I started with piano at 8. I was in a choir after that. Then I played oboe, and then I played drums for a very long time.
What drum were you on the drum line?
Oh, I preferred bass, but I played everything. We were award-winning drumline, very talented. We could switch in and out, and just my best friends today are my best friends from the drumline back then. So that kind of gives you an idea of how.
Out of curiosity, because nobody did it. Did you guys do it? Did you guys ever get into any of the steel drum stuff and incorporate that at all? No. Oh, nobody did steel drums, man. Nobody did steel drums.
No.
And it's hard to find because it's such a unique sound. But yeah, I was just wondering if you were chest, or if you actually had one of the floor drums. And I do forget a lot of my drum names, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we were bullies. We wanted straight power when we went out and played, because if you're in drumline, the pinnacle of drumline is the football games, right? So you're in the stands and you're playing your cadences, and the drum lines would go back and forth across the field. So we were bullies. We would just start fights, and we just wanted power and just volume, and that was our approach to everything. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. Okay, so
Richard, thank you for sharing links. I appreciate you.
thank you. So we did Metal Rain for about 5-6 years. Very successful in South Florida as a local band. We were never signed, but we did have 2 offers, which we would, if we would have signed, we would have been poor. So we decided not to sign it.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. And then for a couple reasons, nothing nefarious, just kind of life goes on. We stopped the band. So trying to think how much time went by. Probably about 6-7 years. The drummer of this band, my brother, the singer, and me were like, hey, let's start making music again. So for a couple years, we did our second band. We didn't play out, but we recorded about an album's worth of music. That's when I first started getting into home recording. So we bought the equipment, we set it up, and I basically taught myself how to home record.
That's a talent and a half. For those who've never done it, it's a lot harder than just setting up a microphone in a room. Like that's a talent and a half if you do it right.
I wasn't good at that point, but it was the start of me learning how to record at home, right? So we did that for like a year, 2 years. That fell apart, and then I basically took a 10-year hiatus. Had to get serious about my career and the money I was making.
Yep.
Luckily, I was able to do that very quickly, and I'm in a good spot. And about 3.5 years ago, my brother was working on creating a tabletop role-playing game, and he's been working on it for years. It's called Project Full Blade.
If I may, really quickly, Swift Sword Rush over in the chat on Locals, which, by the way, I have a live chat over on Locals if you guys want to avoid Google. But Swift Sword Rush says that they did steel drums, so that's awesome.
Nice. Well, if you put a steel drum in front of me, I would buy it probably at this point, but we just didn't play it in the past.
No, a lot, and and a lot of high school bands and stuff didn't. They just yeah. Sorry. All right, go on, good sir.
Oh, sure, no problem. Yeah. So Joe, Ghost Cat's name is Joe. Was creating a tabletop game, and we were talking about 3.5 years ago, and decided that we were going to go into creating this tabletop game, but we also wanted to create audiobooks based on the RPG. So if you're an old school D&D player, if you've ever read the Driss series by R.A. Salvatore, which I'm a big fan of, basically imagine that, but in audiobook format with me doing a complete score behind it. So we really wanted to make it colorful and exciting. Ended up doing 2 trilogies. That's out on the Project Full Blade YouTube and I think Audible. So we've done some stuff over the last 3.5 years that's already been out. More fantasy related, more orchestra and kind of electronic music, not heavy metal. And this year, my brother and myself were talking and decided to kind of put that tabletop on hold. So that's on hold. We don't know if we're going to come back to it. Maybe not. We're not sure yet. But I'm a busy guy. I'm a creator. So like during this whole process of us figuring out what we wanted to do, I was really jonesing to write heavy metal again. It was 10 years since I've done it. That will never leave me. It's part of who I am. I like the aggressive and musical nature of that music. And just from what we did with Project Full Blade and the 2 audio trilogies we did, the first one was called The Wraith Redress. Second one was called Power, Wonder, and Glory. It's like we've developed this skill where we can create a story and create a score to it. I thought what was missing from that was the visuals, though, because when you throw too much at somebody just in audio, it's kind of hard to keep up. And I think that may be a reason why they weren't successful as good as I think they are. They're really qualities, at least the story, maybe not my music, but the story's great for my brother. So I said, hey, this was around Eric July releasing Ripperverse and Isom #1, and it got me excited. It got a lot of people excited. Razorfist comes out and it's like, this is the Iron Age of media. And I'm like, you cannot have an Iron Age of media without a heavy metal property. So it's like, now's the time. It's go time right now. And that's what I did.
Dude, and I felt that, and like I said, when I had covered your Ruthless on the channel. For those of you who don't know, I've covered this on the channel. And what was going on that night is I was tired, and trying to do the day job and just keep going. It's just like, and I'm a musician at heart. I always will be, no matter, I don't play much anymore. I play it like once a year, and I sit there and I kind of remember all the stuff I used to be able. I was a rhythm guy, right? I'm not a lead guy. I was a rhythm guy, but man, I would come up with some funky rhythms. And one of the things that the guy I used to play with, he's like, dude, he goes, the way that you can chop on the upbeat is, he goes, nobody does that. Cause that's what I always love to play on the offbeat, you know, cause it's really fun. And then I would tell my, I'd tell my lead, I'm like, hey, if you're going to play rhythm with me, I want you to play this chord. And what we're going to do is while I'm playing and you're playing, we're going to merge those two sounds together. And it's going to sound like one guitar, but we're playing two totally separate parts. And then you'll go into a breakdown here. And I would do what I do. Again, for some reason in my mind, like timing just works differently. So I would always do just funky stuff like that, like, coming in on the offbeat and things like that. And one of the things that that you can do with music, that especially when it came to like me just needing to be driven and just go like, okay, I've got to do this video tonight. Who am I going to cover? And I was like, and I was tired, and I'm thinking about playing music, and I might've been listening to a song or two of mine. And I just went to listen to some old, just popular music that I listened to. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm just jamming out. I'm just rocking out. And I'm just like, okay, who the hell am I going to cover tonight? I put this thing out on Twitter, and it's like, hey, I got this heavy metal audio comic that I'm going to cover. And I was like, that's the mood that I'm in tonight. And that was when I covered and I literally, like, it could not have been more perfect. I think, to be perfectly honest, had I not been in that mood, I would not have covered Ruthless that night. And
that's okay. Timing is everything.
Dude, I'm telling you. And so with that being said, because we do have to segue and we do have to break for just a moment from the conversation, but I think this is going to be a good break. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the first clip from the Ruthless audio comic that the world premiere will be going live after tonight's show. And so we will be listening to this clip from Ruthless. I'm super excited. I love the strings.
The year's 2023, and society, it's at its breaking point. The culture now thrives on political strife, and the people's collective goals center on destroying their enemy by eliminating their life, or at least their quality of life. I say an unhealthy addiction to technology fueled it. When you live in a screen, you can search for your own reality. But that luxury came at a price, as it disconnects us from our souls and the truth. Yeah. And then something happened.
Dude, okay. I need to pause. There's a Western vibe in there. Was that intentional? Was the Western vibe behind the music there, was that an intentional choice, or was that just something that I just heard and I'm an idiot?
No, it's more my style. I do have a bit of a more bluesy American metal style. My biggest influence was Pantera, Diamondbacks, kind of like a country. Yeah. So that it is metal, but it's
I
that.
was going to say that.
Yeah.
Love Pantera.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, you get into that. Well, and it really is a cowboy. I mean, Pantera, for lack of a better term, did this fantastic blend of like cowboy country with rock and roll because of how they blended. And it's like cowboy metal. I mean, and those boys, I mean, they were good old boys from Texas, so they grew up in and around that music. At least I think, I know Dimebag Darrell was,
Diamond Vinny from Texas. Phil was from New Orleans.
Oh yeah. So he grew up around Creole. He grew up around the Creole era of music. And I mean, and for those that don't understand, like Creole, if you don't understand where a lot of like blues and like jazz and like modern day music come from, like Creole music is a very good example of more modern or of a take off of Creole music would have been the Sultans of Swing by Sultans of Swing. Brain, don't fail. Come on, I just had it. Sultans of Swing. They did. Why can't I think of who it is? Chat, who did Sultans of Swing? I just had it in my head, but no, Sultans of Swing actually references a lot of the Creole music, and that's one of the Dire Straits. Thank you, Herman P. Hunter. The Dire Straits. I literally had it in my head, and as soon as it got there, it was gone. But no. But yeah, you get a lot of that influence there. Okay, so let's go back to this because I'm sorry. I heard the cowboy rock, and I was like, all right. Like how is this gonna go? So let's get back into this.
A mysterious event caused all devices, machinery, communication networks, shit like that. Anything that runs on electricity to fail worldwide and all at once. This event became known as the Short because that's what the circuits did, and humanity could not stretch back to civility. Hey, wow,
Oh, dude. Oh man. Oh, that is fantastic. Oh, that gets my music nerd brain just moving. What should I ask the music nerd questions, or should I turn it over to, no, I'm going to turn it over to my co-hosts, because I'm like nerding out. I'm like, all right, what drum kit did you use? How did you tune it? Where are the microphones at in the room? How did you voice everything? I'm about to ask a whole bunch of music nerd questions that I should not ask. Oh, but I will turn it over to my co-hosts. Richard or Daniel, raise your hand first. Who wants to go first? What questions do you guys have?
Well, I was going to take it in. I'm sorry, Royce. I'm harshing your vibe here, but I was curious about like the lore behind it. Like obviously that's a central part of what you're talking about in the trailer.
Sounds like
can you share a little
dystopia.
bit more about beyond the apparent apocalypse?
Sure, yeah.
And what's it like? Tell us about the story.
Yeah. So without it, you'll see a little bit more in the clips coming up. The second clip kind of gets into the main character adjusting to this new world that he wasn't prepared for, right? But basically it's not a supernatural story. Who did the voiceover was my brother,
Kelly.
former Ghost Caddy. I think he's in the chat. So
Yep. Joe.
Lost my okay, so lore. It's
I'm
not
sorry.
really a I really wanted to, so I'm not a writer. This is actually the first thing I've ever written from a story perspective. Written a lot of music in my life, 3-4 albums worth of music. And I felt cocky enough because I've been working with Joe and creating these stories, and we would give input and I'd be part of this whole process, and I would have to listen to him talk for hundreds of hours mixing. So I kind of, again, built the skill over the last 3.5 years. So as far as the story, I wanted to write a real simple story, kind of equate some of the issues to modern times. And it's like, all we need is this one little thing to happen, and society could just, hit the bucket, right?
Mhm.
Really good at this point if you think about it. So I wanted to keep a simple story that could really connect with people and people can relate with. And it's basically about Ash, who he is in Chicago on business, and his family's in Florida. And this event called the Short happens, where it just eliminates all the electricity. And then it was just a matter of days before everything started falling apart. So, and one of the scenes you'll see here, we'll kind of dig in more into it. But story starts off with him trying to make his way home.
I shared the link. I swear I shared the link.
You did. Scroll
I
up.
did. I shared the link. I'm getting chastised in the chat. I shared the link. Which, by the way, thank you so much, Richard, for doing that. All right, go on, keep going. I
Hold.
apologize. Good sir.
That's right. Don't. Yep. Hold him accountable, chat. Don't let him walk all over
No,
you.
no, don't.
Stand your
No.
ground.
We're not playing this game. No. We don't. Need to play this game.
Yeah. So, he travels home, and I'll kind of stop there. But it's about this guy searching for his family in a world that has recently become post-apocalyptic, if that's the correct way to say it. So that's kind of the base of the story. There is another arc. I won't really give you too many details on, but those two arcs are going to run together. And it's not really going to be supernatural. There's no superpowers. It's just desperate humans trying to survive or build or make their own way in this new world that is falling apart. That's really the core of the story.
Now there's like a super sweet guitar weapon that's shown. Is that does that come into play?
Oh yeah,
I will be
absolutely.
Okay.
right back,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Yeah. So
Wasn't
I hate
sure
to,
if it was marketing or you know what I mean.
no.
It was your style. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I hate to use the word theme, but this story is going to be a love letter to the heavy metal fans. Like this is a
Awesome.
story for metal people. So there's going to be a lot of kind of Easter eggs for heavy metal, maybe a couple of famous songs where the title fits in as a line of dialogue that you can sneak in there. My brother used to do that a lot, so I'm going to steal that little trick from him. Works great. And those who catch it, they get a little bit more excitement from it. I'm going to have quotes from famous musicians. That the issue 2 is already in production, and I already have a quote that it was really inspiring to me from a particular musician who's now passed that I'm going to include in the opening scene for issue 2. So even though it's this story and it's just very heavily influenced by metal from both obviously the music, and then the story is going to have all of that intertwined with it.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So it's dropping tonight after this, correct?
Before I log out of here, I'm gonna hit. It's already up on YouTube. The tags are done. The description's done. All I have to do is switch it from private to public, and I'll do that before we exit the stream for everybody.
I'm excited.
Well, Royce is gone. I see I see a question in chat that looks like it was going to be a super chat, but is got disconnected.
Well,
He's asking you, JVP, should metal make a mainstream comeback? The need for it is
Absolutely.
there. It's just not the center stage anymore like it was in the 90s. Now everything is the pop candy rap music.
Yeah. So Skunks, man, that's a good question. And the moment I've been thinking about doing a project like this for a while, but the moment I sat down and actually created the file and saved it and named it Ruthless, the name just came to me immediately. I was listening to Mahler and Nerdrotics talk about Stranger Things, the second half of the season that was just released, and they were talking about the Eddie Munson scene when he's playing Master of Puppets, and Mahler said something to the effect of, he's like, that scene really proved that there is still mainstream appeal for heavy metal. And literally as soon as he said that, I sat down on my computer and I saved it. So I hope so, Skunks. That's what we tried to do back in the 2000s when we started this band. We started a band because we didn't really like a lot of the metal that was out. Even till today, my favorite band who's releasing albums is Overkill, they're like, in their 50s. They're amazing. They're still releasing their best stuff. But yeah, we really just wanted more metal. And it's up to composers to do a good job. You can't really just, when you write metal, it has to be aggressive. It does. That's the attractiveness of it. It's powerful music. It makes you feel powerful. It doesn't necessarily have to make you feel angry, but it makes you feel like you can conquer the world. That's what heavy metal is supposed to do. But it is still music. It is still music. You have to make it musical. And if you miss that piece, metal will never come back. That's a big piece of what's missing today in metal.
No, and you're not wrong. And a lot of modern metal music turns into noise because they don't understand. And it's actually something that I've noticed with most music. It doesn't understand the separation of the instruments in the track itself. And when it comes to metal music, there are 3 things that need to be highlighted, but highlighted separately. And sadly, the bass is not one of them. Get fucked, bass. Nobody cares about you. Anyway, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong from a recording perspective, because if you don't have a
Uh,
good bass in recording, your metal music has no balls. But as far
when
as
I'm
performing,
not talking about the recording. I'm talking about the
Man knows the
mixing and the
stuff.
release.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the mix, if you listen to most metal music, you can barely hear the bass. Now, if it's not there, people who don't know music will go, something's missing. This feels off. People who do know music go, where the F is the bass? But when it comes to the music, nobody pays attention to the bass. The three things that metal music has to have, and it has to have powerful or predominant vocals. It has to have a good rhythm on the guitar. Even the lead, like lead can sound great. Flashy lead is always fantastic. It's got to have a good rhythm. Hey, rhythm guy. But the drums, I find that drummers walk a fine line. They're either too busy or they're not busy enough when it comes to metal. And you have to make sure that I would say almost that the drums and the vocals in metal music to really drive that presence. That's how I've always, at least those are the songs that I've always gravitated to. Feel free to disagree with me here.
No, I think to be a great metal band, you need everything you just said. I think the most important thing in metal is the guitar. Because if Metallica can make it with Lars, anybody can make it.
and here's the thing is, at the time, and everybody says that now, but at the time that those guys were coming up, they weren't, I mean, keep in mind, those guys were thrash metal guys.
Yeah.
They came from thrash metal. I mean, a lot of people remember them from some of their lighter tunes that they did, The Unforgiven and a few other tunes like that. But a lot of people do not remember that those guys came from thrash metal. They were a thrash metal band. It's actually, and one of the things that I don't like that they do is and I know a lot of people love it. I didn't feel like it was reminiscent of their old school stuff. I really hated the Death Magnetic album from Metallica.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
It was hot garbage. You agree?
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
Here's the thing about Metallica. They made it. I think they got famous because of their guitar composition. They wrote these magical riffs and leads and intros, and it was just top tier.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, and I'll even be nice here to say that their newer, like post Black album, right? Anything post Black album. Is it bad?
Are you a Black Album guy? I'm a Black
No.
Album guy. I say that
No.
I say that Black Album, it might not have been their peak, but that was like their last good one, and then after that they just
Don't get me wrong, I've jammed out to the Black Album before and I've enjoyed it, but my perspective now is when you look at what they were right before that, they were the greatest. Greatest, and then this change just happened. It's like, what happened, guys? You were there. All you had to do was keep going. And then, if you compare them to, like I said, I brought up Overkill before. Compare them to Overkill. If you don't know who Overkill is, they started in the 80s. They sucked in the 80s. The first time my brother ever showed me, I hated the band. The singer sounded dumb to me. Mm-hmm. And they had producers saying, just stop now. You're never going to make it. And they never stopped. And they're still releasing albums. They have an album coming out next year. The last album they released, 2019, their best album of their careers. So it's just when you kind of compare, what have you done for me lately, to sum it all up, right?
Right. All right. Let me get a couple chats here that are definitely for the conversation over on the local side for $20. Kikomon says, question for JVP: do you have a favorite non-English band? What about the rest of the panel? Favorite non-English band?
Oh, so one of my it's not a band, but a lot of you probably like this. Of my three biggest influences as a musician, Nobuo Uematsu is right after Pantera. Nobuo Uematsu.
I don't know him.
Fantastic composer
for the original Final Fantasy games, basically,
and many other things over his illustrious career. The man is a legend.
Yes,
I've watched some of his composition videos that he's put out recently, where he goes over his process of how he created some of the iconic video game tracks when it was 8 and 16-bit, digital.
Oh yeah.
The process he went through of these amazingly abstract ideas that he came up with and how he put them all together to create these things. The man is a genius of unparalleled intellect.
100% agreed.
I am going to commit a heresy to all musicians and all music lovers out there. And I unabashedly, I own, well, at one point in time I owned all of their albums. But no, my favorite, believe it or not, my favorite band, and it is because I felt that they actually, listening to their albums, not just their radio hits, they actually continued what a lot of the 80s, like AC/DC style, the kegger rock, the anthem rock did. Believe it or not, Nickelback, it's my favorite band.
I do it. I was like, this is
gonna say it.
No, and a lot of people are like, really, what the hell? And I'm like, guys, I like rock and roll. Just rock and roll. And guys that can do some harder stuff, guys that can do some lighter stuff, they can do the prom rock, they can do the kegger rock, they can do the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And not only that, dude, they were my high school band. Like we used to drive down the road blasting Dark Horse, which was produced by Mutt Lange, by the way, which if you guys don't know who Mutt Lange is, look up his pedigree.
True.
But it's fun music to listen to. And a lot of people are like, no, why that band? And I'm like, you know what? They get a lot of bad crap because they literally hit the pinnacle of being played everywhere so much that they got annoying. And that's why people don't like them now. And I absolutely understand that. But no, still to this day, dude. And like, but I also listen to a metric crap load of music. I listen to everything from classical to hard rock to metal. My wife, Sheila's, you want to talk about a metal fan? Holy crap. She's the one that introduced me to a ton of metal bands that I just didn't, it just weren't my purview. But no, I would say, and actually one of the things is Nickelback actually started out as more metal focused, they really did.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that about those guys. And that's why those guys were as good as they were instrumentally, just even on the rock side, doing some of the annoying songs that you would hear, is because when it comes to playing metal, you actually have to know how to play the freaking instruments. And they did, and they were able to pull it off. And that's yeah. So good, bad, or indifferent. Like I would say that that's one of my favorite non-English bands.
That's the question I need to ask. What does non-English mean?
Yeah, I was thinking like non-English speaking. I was gonna say like
like
like Porpiclani or something like that.
I was thinking like the Dirty Brits, like let's not go with like the Beatles because screw those guys.
I was gonna say, are there any English bands that I do like? Is the real question, but by that definition,
right? Yeah.
Well, if you're going British metal, I have a great fondness for Dragon Force.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They had a habit of speeding up a lot of things post, though.
Yeah.
I don't like bands that speed up stuff post.
I can understand that. But from a pure inspirational perspective as an author, I will happily just go for hours listening to speed metal, and then I can crank out some pretty impressive combat scenes because of it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Kikomon says non-English speaking.
Okay.
Non-English speaking.
Technically a pop star, but he does many metal inspired music. I am a huge stan for a artist from his name is Kemwe Gact. He's from the Visual Kei movement. And symphonic metal and some really interesting lyrical styles when you translate them out of his native language, which I believe is Japanese.
Right.
He's a lyricist. He's an orchestrator. The dude's a polyglot. He speaks a ton of languages. It's just an incredible guy. And there's a track called Lust for Blood, which is somewhat vampiric in its nature. And the opening for that song, and then the drop that goes into what I feel is like some of the greatest guitar stuff from his band, is incredible. If for video game nerds out there, the much maligned Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus, the
Dirge of Cerberus. Yeah, I was gonna say that did not
it's a much
receive a lot of high
maligned
praise.
game. Yeah, it's a much maligned game.
Much maligned.
The theme song for that game is called Redemption, and it was written and performed by Kamui Gacht.
I remember when the Dirge of Cerberus, I actually remember the original trailer for it. And I was like, wow, this looks really cool. But like, it's a Final Fantasy game. And I'd never played one. I asked my buddy about it because my buddy, he had like owned all of them. And so after it came out, I waited for my buddy to play it. I'm like, dude, like I'm looking at this game. Like, what do you think? And he goes, it's horrible. Don't ever get it.
It is. Yeah.
So I never touched it. I took it from a Final Fantasy nerd. He owned all of them from like 1 on.
But the one thing that it had going for it was its soundtrack was out of this world. The game itself sucked, but if you just wanted to listen to the music in each of the different areas that it put up, it was amazing. And despite how bad the mechanics of the game were, the final boss fight rocking out to that Redemption track by Gacht was phenomenal. Just going to town with guns blazing to this amazing song. It was something that I feel like never really got its props.
There you
go. That's interesting because I got to listen to that, because when it comes to Final Fantasy music, it's difficult because everybody that comes after Nobuo has to fill his shoes. True. So if you're telling me it's that good, I got to hear this. I'll look it up.
As a metal guy, I think you'll really appreciate it. It's Kamui Gacht Redemption. The video is pretty awesome too. He's an interesting guy. He got a special custom designed microphone stand made by H.R. Geiger. And it's featured prominently in the music videos. It's really
just so
great.
You know, I see you chat, and you guys are throwing down a lot of good names. Rammstein, Man of War.
Rammstein's good. Man of War is great.
Ooh, yep.
Brothers of Metal.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah.
Dio, the god of metal.
He's good. My wife. One of the bands that my wife introduced me to is Cradle of Filth. Getting into the black metal and all that. Like my wife, you want to talk about metal? Like my wife, listen, her favorite band. So her left arm is completely tattooed. She's got a full sleeve. It's dedicated to our family, right? She's got a quarter sleeve here that goes up into her chest. It's dedicated to Iron Maiden. So that just tells you where my wife's priorities
Iron
are.
Maiden.
Oh, if you guys ever come to South Florida, Nico, the drummer from Iron Maiden, has a barbecue place down here called Rock and Roll Ribs. It's in Coral Springs. We've been there. We ate there. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. We went there to eat. Nico was there.
Oh,
super nice guy. He's if he's not touring, he's there, and he walks around and he shakes everybody's hand and he asks how it's doing. And at one point in the dinner, I ordered one of the sides I ordered was Brave New World potato salad. And I was eating my Brave New World potato salad, watching Nico right over my booth, watching the TV, playing Brave New World. And I'm like, this is like another dimension.
For $2, Kikomon says Megadeth. Yes. Yeah, Megadeth was definitely and still is today in my soundtrack.
That's why I asked whether it was English speaking or non-English speaking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great out of the US metal out there from various subgenres.
I may or may not get crap for this, but like Avenged Sevenfold, especially some of their earlier stuff.
Who doesn't like Evie? Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, the corpo metal bands. I'm like, you know what? But some of those guys started where all of us are. But like, oh my God, one of my favorite songs by Avenged Sevenfold is Unholy Confessions. Just that intro. Oh, it's, I don't know. JVP, are you an Avenged guy or nah? Just
very talented band. I just think I don't know what our age difference is, but I'm 39, and from the metal of the era of metal that I grew up with, the style of Avenged Sevenfold just never really hooked me.
It's a little more pop oriented.
Yeah, very talented though. Not take away. And the Unholy Confession, that's a good song. That's actually one of
that one, Beast and the Harlot's really good. I like a lot of their early, and it's one thing that it says about metal bands is like that metal bands, they're raw. When they come out, like metal bands are just raw. And it's like once they get discovered, they keep a little bit of that, and then but like 20 years later, they just don't have that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's sad. Anthony,
unless you're overkill, they still have it.
Ailstorm
says Bloodywood, Necro Gobblecon.
That's another one.
Corpora Clanin. I don't know how to say that. Ailstorm. Ailstorm. I know Ailstorm. They do pirate metal.
Bryce's though. I know Ailstorm.
I do. Well, no, I can't, dude. I don't know every band out there, and I'm not gonna pretend to know every band out there. Like, if I don't know the band, I don't know the band. Like, keep in mind, like, I'll listen to like Mozart and stuff. Actually, one of the things that I wish would be more of a thing, and I struggle to find bands that do it. I really like operatic metal, where you have metal instrumentals and then opera singers behind it. Within Temptation is one of my favorite operatic metal, or that in that style. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Within Temptation.
Yeah.
But there is something when it comes to, because I'm a vocalist. I am not a good one. Like, I wish I was. That would be amazing if I was a good vocalist. But I love fantastic vocals, big vocals, and you put an opera singer in front of metal drums, metal guitar, and just get that whole sound going. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic.
You have to check out again with the video game crossover with metal. For a while, Uematsu-san was doing a band called the Black Mages, and he did metal covers of some of his symphonic creations. There was a performance that they did with I think he was a Japanese opera singer named Mr. Gu, did a cover of The Skies Above from Final Fantasy X. He's an opera singer. They followed him with this incredible rock rendition of The Skies Above, and his voice is so amazing when backed by that music.
That version you're talking about, Dan, gives me goosebumps.
Right? Exactly.
I need it. You guys need to send it to me on Gilded or on Twitter or something. I need this thing.
Yeah. And back on the GAC track real quick. JVP, look up a song called Mind Forest by Kemwe Gact. Check it out at some point. That song gives me goosebumps.
I got a couple of chats here. Blade Killer, Haunt, and Wolf. Good show. Yeah, I know Wolf. I've heard of Wolf before. I've actually heard a couple of their tunes. Can't name them because I've only heard them here and there. But no, yeah, they're metal bands, man. There's so many good ones. Oh, Sophie says Nightwish. I know Nightwish. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows Nightwish.
I agree.
Early
too.
Nightwish with
Turnin. Oh man.
Tarja Turnin is awesome. Yeah, early Nightwish, and that seems to be the thing too, especially when you get the original guys or the more original guys. No, absolutely. No, Nightwish, dude. Nightwish, man. Thank God, how long have those guys been around? Like, they've got to be around 20 years now. I mean, Nightwish is not a new band at all.
Yeah. Long time ago. It's technically an English speaking band, but they're from outside the U.S., so I'm going to count it. Is a kind of bridge rock metal band from Canada called, I believe it's called Alexis on Fire. Their early albums were hard and lyrical and amazing.
No, that's awesome.
Check them out.
So we deviated hard there, but when you get music nerds in a room,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. I those are my favorite conversations on the channel, period. It's like, hey, we have a guest on, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we're all nerds about this thing.
Music.
Those are the best conversations because they're the most natural conversations to have.
Yeah.
And I don't want, call me a bad host, I don't want guests on that just want to be like, hey, I'm only here to show my stuff. I want guests on that are like, hey, let's have a natural conversation about the things that all of us are passionate about. And if one thing that all of us can be passionate about, especially in this Iron Age movement and what, all of us are looking at when it comes to the Iron Age and the creators and people out there who are building and creating, it's something that I don't want to stifle the conversation with by just be like, oh, Iron Age. No, we're people. We're humans. We love talking about other things. We love talking about the stuff that we're all hugely passionate about. Let's all talk about those things that we're all hugely passionate about. One of the things that I am hugely passionate about is, believe it or not, JVP Music and his second clip.
Nice segue.
Oh, dude.
You want me to do some setup on this one or no?
Do setup.
Go
do
for
some
it.
setup. This is clip number 2. Go for it.
Because I skipped a little bit. So this one, it's got 2 art pieces by Sean Stevens. That's who did the art. Actually, if I can show real quick for Sean.
Chill. Yes.
I didn't know this until I hired him, but he has a comic out called Red, a cyberpunk fairy tale. He created it with his buddy Dan Velez. They have a stream on Twitch. They do it pretty much every night during the week. It's called React and Draw. Sean, there are 2 pieces of art from Sean in this one. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how much he did total for me, but there's a good amount of art in this.
I've heard good things about Red.
It's fun. It's Little Red Riding Hood cyberpunk style.
Mm-hmm.
If that sounds attractive to you, you're gonna have a lot of fun reading it. Very affordable comic.
Anything that blends fairy tale with some other genre tends to be pretty amazing when done.
Yeah, but you're going to see some more Sean's art here. That first clip was more kind of set up, but here we get to the story. And Ash is the main character's name is Ash, and he's kind of on his journey home. And I'll leave it there. That's the setup.
Royce is having a boomer moment with the technology.
Shut up. I don't know how to work StreamYards.
I didn't think a power outage would have caused the end of the world, but we had no backup, no aid. No one was truly independent, and the madness didn't even start yet. As I watched the panic grow, I knew I had to get out of there and find my family. I was a grown-ass man, terrified, running for my life. After I got out of the city, my journey across America began. Luckily, Illinois has a lot of farmland, which means it was easy to avoid interacting with people. I now had to consider everyone as a threat. 1 week later, and thanks to a map in the hotel lobby, I made it all the way to Indianapolis. The welcome sign to the city was ripped off, exposing the 2 poles that held it. I guess someone wanted to redecorate it with flesh by impaling a young man next to an elderly woman. It took hundreds of years to crawl out of medieval times, and only a week to go back. I wondered if they knew each other. If I was gonna survive this, I needed to stay far away from the cities. That kind of detour took me 11 months to get home.
Oh, shit. Oh, that's fucking awesome.
That's not even a good metal yet. Boy, this next one's gonna blow you away.
No. But here's the thing: so I'm a choir nerd, right? I come from the choir world, and so anytime I hear a good crescendo, or even a good decrescendo, or what a lot of people will call, the drop, and be like, oh, dude, listen to him drop the beat. Like anytime I hear, oh, dude, just it makes me just nerdgasm in a way. Because it's not necessarily about how epic that certain piece of music is. It's how well done that certain piece is. And it's just hearing the kick right there, man, just hearing that bum, bum, bum of the kick drum. And you're just like, oh, here it comes. Like, what did you compose? You composed the music for all this, correct?
Every single thing. So I know you brought up drums before. Everything except the guitar and the bass and the vocals is electronic. It's all VST. So those are electronic drums. Those are
that's fine.
drums.
What did you use? What did you use for the electronic drums? Did you use like Superior Drummer, or did you use
There's a VST called Damage.
Oh, yeah, I know Damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
their kits are awesome in that VST. Yeah. That's all I used.
No, we would actually use we went with Superior Drummer. That was one of the top of the line ones when we were trying to write some of our stuff. But no, dude, the production on it's incredible because I couldn't hear it, and it's maybe because I'm not paying attention to it, which is a good thing. But I couldn't hear that was not an acoustic kit. That sounded like an acoustic kit that was triggered. It really did.
Yeah, there's some tricks you could do to make your electronic drum sound real. You have to adjust the velocity, watch your fades. There's a lot of things you could do to make it sound good enough.
And believe it or not, change the timing just slightly. Yes. So the timing isn't perfect, because perfect timing will throw even a novice off. But if your timing is just a little bit off, and it doesn't have to be much, it just has to be just a little bit. But if you guys are using electronic drums or doing anything electronically, make your timing off just a hair, because it sounds more natural to the human ear, believe it or not.
So that's exactly what I do. I get all the drums up, and once the drums are done, I take the snap off to where it's not snapped exactly in line. Yep. And you don't need to do a lot, just a couple notes here and there. Just take it and drag it just a little bit this way, just a little bit this way, and it really does a lot.
Yep. Nope. You're not wrong. And if you leave the keynotes, if you leave the for instance, like your ones, if you leave your ones on time, but you adjust your 2, 3s, and 4s, and then anything in between, it's just slightly, it sounds more natural.
Yeah,
it does. It's because humans are not capable of playing perfectly in time all the time, and that's one of the greatest things that you can do. Because a lot of people are like, no, it's got to be exactly perfect. No, perfect sounds bad.
Yep.
100% of the time, perfect sounds bad, and that's why most of
the uncanny valley is.
Exactly, 100%. No, Daniel, you're 100% right.
Yep.
So real quick, Royce, because I think you're on to kind of what I can do with this, and I think this is my advantage, not being a writer. I can take a story, like I'm just building the story out, so there's going to be a lot of little things, nothing grand yet, but I can make it grand with the music. So I can take like a minuscule action, and if I compose to it right, you can enjoy it as this grand thing. And as you get into issue after issue, because I have 2 runs planned for this, there's big plans for this. After you get issue after issue, you get that excitement up front from the music and how it's scored. And as the story builds onto it, that's how I plan on escalating the stakes continuously. And you made a video on this, like My Hero Academia. That show is great at escalating the stakes every episode. That's what I want to do with this.
Yeah, My Hero is an interesting anime, to say the least, because it was something that was recommended to me. And although, and people might roast me for this, but I don't think that My Hero Academia is not the best anime that I have ever seen.
It's good,
but
though.
But hold on. But damn it if it's not wholesome.
Yeah.
I love Deku. I love Izuku Midoriya. And not only that, All Might, man, when I first heard of it, I was like, oh, All Might's gonna be a dick. He's not. All Might is actually a good superhero. And I really enjoy the way that they tell the story of the characters and the way that they talk about the characters. And story is hugely important, even when it comes to music. And it's so and again, I never did the big in the music stuff. Like I say, musician at heart. Did a lot of bar shows, not as many as I would like to because drummers and bass players are unreliable. But there was a song that I wrote. It's called One More, and that song spoke to a lot of people that I showed. Even the crap demo that we had. We had a demo that we re-recorded. We had a guy who I actually knew really well. He was really good at producing, but sadly we were not good at recording, and that's important. But there was a song called One More, and the song was talking about drug addiction, but from the drug addict's perspective. I've never done drugs. The hardest drugs that I've ever done are, nicotine, coffee, and alcohol. That's it. I've never done pot, none of that. But I wrote this song called One More, and the song was talking about how essentially if you confront a drug addict, because I'd had members of my family who do it, and the opening line, just one more night with my addiction, I promise it won't take too long. Very deep, very dark, definitely in a minor tone. And that song, people used to come up and they would go, I'm going to buy your demo album because of that song. They're like, because we play it live, and it turns out it sounded better live than it did on the demo, which tells you how bad our demo was. But that storytelling aspect and the way that I am getting to this, and I have to tell this whole thing because there's a lot of thoughts that connect in my head, and unless I explain everything, people get lost. But the storytelling aspect and the emotional connection that songwriters have to a story, I feel is entirely different than the emotional connection that even book writers and authors will have, because music has a different emotional connection. So how is it that you connect to the storytelling that you're telling with Ruthless, because you're a new story writer, with the emotional connection to the music? What gets you there? How do you, because again, music is inherently emotional. How did you translate that into Ruthless? How did you get there?
Good question.
I know. Well, and it took me 4.5 years to get there, but there's a lot to unpack there, because I don't like asking shallow questions. I don't. I'm like, hey, if I ask a question, I don't want to have to look at my guest and say, oh, hey, by the way, no, let me rephrase that for you so I understand. I'd just rather phrase it for you in its full context so that I don't have to give it to you again.
Yeah.
But
it's as so I have an advantage because I'm writing both, and I write them both in tandem. So as I'm and one, like, the song could start before the writing, or the writing could start before the song. Mm-hmm. It's really genuinely like, how do I, because this episode, it starts off, and that first clip you played is the full intro, and it, kind of, it comes in with the hard stab. So you kind of, it sets the tone, but then it kind of backs down. You have the strings come in, it slows down. You have a clean guitar part drum. So it's taking somebody on a roller coaster, and you have to write your story to match the musical roller coaster. So that's kind of the approach that I took with this, is how can I take somebody up and then bring them down, and then maybe even get them a bit emotional, or maybe even sad. And then how can I make them happy after that? So it's really just writing those both in tandem, which, again, big advantage on my part, because a lot of people don't write the stories and the scores. So I think it makes my job easier. And again, the story, there's not a lot of twists. It's not going to be an epic, George R.R. Martin type dialogue or anything. It's a very simple story,
God.
but yeah, I wanted to connect with people on an emotional level. I wanted to hit something personal for you because this story is personal to me. And that's just the approach I take. Those are my guiding principles. That's how I approach writing. That's how I approach scoring. Ruthless.
That's good. I actually have a comment on that, which is kind of the reverse of what you were saying. I use music as the score and create a lot of my scenes in my novels almost like a word dance. So it follows the rhythm of the song that inspires it. For example, just as an anecdote, the final confrontation between one of the hero characters, James, and the old hero, Shadowstrike, Henry Devonshire, in my Legacy of Heroes book, was written to the song Petrified by Fort Minor, which is Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park's side project. That the way that song is designed, there's a lot of beat to it, and all of those different tempo beats in my head reminded me of physical strikes. Two people moving in two different rhythms against each other. So when I wrote that scene, the song just played on repeat while I was writing it, and it repeated for like an hour. It drove my daughter crazy. But doing that gave me the ability to create a dynamic moment in the book and bring it to what I felt like would have been a much higher level than just trying to do it without that sort of musical background.
It helped you pace the scene from a writing perspective. It helped you pace. So it gave you, it put you on the road, and you're like, all right, all I have to do is drive down this road.
Mm-hmm. Because when I listened to it, I was able to just play the scene in my head, and then all I had to do was describe it out onto the page for everybody else to enjoy. So I totally get where you're coming from with composing, which is pretty amazing in and of itself, but composing and then writing alongside it is phenomenal, I think. And you can tell from the two teasers that we've watched so far that this thing's going to be pretty epic. Quick note, I got to give props to Joe. The narration, it reminds me of the narrated portions of some of my favorite old school metal tracks back in the day, and a little bit of a couple of funny culture icons. I don't know if you're familiar with a really old video game called Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I played the crap out of that game.
Game is awesome, isn't it? Yes. The end when they do the narrated portions about what each character does after they've won the Twisted Metal tournament. Joe reminds me of that when in those videos that you put up. I hear that, and I can kind of see this scrolling screen and the flames around it, and I'm like, that's awesome. It also kind of reminds me of a more modern sort of relevant there was what is the game? There was an MMO that came out a while ago, WildStar. When your character leveled up in that game, this dude would go, hell yeah, and you'd get the flash, like it's almost like the Final Fantasy victory fanfare, but it would be this like boom, and the dude would go, hell yeah, get after it, and Joe's voice reminded me of that too.
Yeah, well, when I wrote the dialogue and I sent it to him, because I tried to do it first, and then I'm terrible, and I'm like, there would be a Ruthless without Joe. He's the one that really brings the main character to life, and it's more important than the soundtrack. Really,
yeah, absolutely.
There would be none without him. But when we used to play out, I mean, if we were famous, he was such a powerful front man. And a lot of people we did a lot of screaming, a lot of heavy metal, right? Not a lot of singing. A lot of people who scream kind of do this trick where they're not really screaming, they're just adjusting their voice to
Yes.
sound rough.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do that. He went full, like, balls to the wall, and it takes a toll on you. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But there's a quality that you get from that too that you just can't replicate. And he was
True.
just a legend at that. So he's so good at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoy hearing his voice, and it brings a depth to both of those videos that I don't think anybody else could pull off. Although possibly. No, I don't think anybody could pull it off. I was thinking for a moment, but no. His voice is perfect for the character and the narration. Now, is most of the story done in the first person, in the perspective of Ash?
Yeah, for this first episode, yes. I'm looking to collaborate with this project though. So I already have a short list of people that I'm going to write out to see if they want to do guest appearances for voices.
Ooh.
Obviously there's a lot of characters that I written into the story, not too much, but a good amount. But yeah, we want to bring in other voices and other people, and the rising ship takes everybody up, right? So
yeah,
I want this to be an Iron Age product. If you guys will have me, I am representing the Iron Age with this product. So whatever attention I can get from this, I hope to just pull that back to as many Iron Age creators as I can. So absolutely, if I can bring in other people that want to voice act, shoot me a message and we'll get you in. We'll figure it out.
Awesome.
I'm terrible at it, but for some reason you needed just a rando voice.
I got a voice. So I have a nickname for you, Royce.
Oh no.
Ooh, here we go.
You are the Zach Morris of the Iron Age.
Zach Morris.
You don't know? Okay, never mind.
Okay. Is it an insult or is it a compliment? I don't know.
No, it's a compliment.
It's a compliment, but it comes from a really odd place.
Yeah. You never seen Saved by the Bell?
Oh,
Zach Morris. Yep.
I loved that show. I watched as much of Saved by the Bell as I could. But I'm not a California surfer boy.
No, you're the pretty boy, though. You're
Zach
Morris.
Oh well,
and I'm the AC Slater of the Iron Age.
I'm down. You're a little too white for that, good sir.
That's true.
No, God, Zach Morris. Oh my God.
That's why I laughed.
Haven't thought of Saved by the Bell in years. That completely derailed me. Okay, why? Why am I this? Just I can't. What? How did you make that connection in your brain?
You're the face.
Yeah, you're the face. You got your hair is not really blonde, but it's like a lighter brown. So you just have that look. You got the Zach Morris look.
If you think about the storytelling in Saved by the Bell, it generally started with Zach's narration of things happening
and his harebrained schemes.
He would talk to the camera though, so he drew you into the world that he was in.
He really was. I actually never thought about it that way, but no, he really was the character that drew people into.
Yep, made you feel like you were part of the group, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's a really big compliment, and I don't take compliments well. I'm not good at compliments. I'm not good at compliments. But
good
thank you.
Don't worry. I'm sure we'll get back to the usual business around here very soon.
I take criticism and people just absolutely eviscerating me in the chat much better than I do compliments. So, just make fun of me. I feel more comfortable when people make fun of me and make you.
It's true. There's a lot of good-natured ribbing going on in our private discussion as well.
No,
none whatsoever.
None. No, that's not a thing.
Pretend I didn't say that.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time, potentially, to show the third clip.
I'm in.
I'm digging it so far. I'm digging it, dude.
I'd like to do a little bit of setup on this too. I'm sorry to interrupt.
All right,
so
stop apologizing. You sound Canadian.
Right.
I'm Canadian. You're not Canadian.
I'm part French Canadian.
Oh, really?
Just a little bit.
I am mostly French Canadian.
Oh, nice.
My mom was actually born in Red Deer, Alberta. My grandfather immigrated, or his parents immigrated from Canada, and like 3 months before or after before he was born. So yeah, no, okay. It's lots of French Canadian in my family.
There you go. That means he drives really slow, by the way.
My grandfather does not drive anymore, good sir. My grandfather has actually been passed away for.
No, I mean you.
Oh,
it was a joke. I'm sorry. It was a field
actually do, and I fucking hate you for saying that. And I drive 5 over the speed limit, and people honk at me, and they pass me, and they flip me off. I'm like, dude, I'm going faster than the speed limit.
If you're not
that's a whole 5 miles an hour. This is.
Dude, I have 4 kids. You think I can afford a ticket?
That's acceptable. 5 over is acceptable.
Well, listen, it's 5 over if you don't have anybody doing 6 over. That's in the left lane. Then
cops
you can
pass
do 6
me
over.
Honking their horns and flipping me off where I live.
Well,
the sheriffs are like, "What are you doing?"
They're gonna pull you over for not going fast enough.
I think they will too. That's the sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you stole it, Royce.
What?
All right, so
like you stole it.
Yeah.
Ash travels home, and he has this year-long journey of trying to get home. It obviously doesn't take a year to walk from Chicago to Florida, but as you dig into the issues, and you'll find out soon when the next episodes come out, we're going to go back a little bit and have a couple flashbacks, not a lot, but just impertinent ones. So Ash gets home, and his family's not there. There's no bodies, but no family. So he still has hope they're alive, and he's just figuring out what's the next step. So he starts taking inventory of the house, kind of gets lost and kind of falls into himself and starts just reminiscing about some good times about, him being in a band, and something that his father told him kind of sparks an idea, which leads into this scene. The end of this clip that you're going to play is exactly the halfway point in the 17-minute episode. This is the hook. So if you're in the chat, if you see this and you're like, I'm not interested, I'm going to save you time. Don't watch this. But if this scene hooks you, this is going to be one of your favorite independent properties, because the second half of the episode only continues to build up from here. This is where it picks up.
And do me a favor, share. This is, guys, the world premiere is going live after this episode. So, so you're going to have to make sure that this goes, that everybody in the chat knows your YouTube channel. Share that in the private chat, which I believe.
It's up there.
Yeah, and I have to find it. JVP Music, there it is. But before I play it, I'm going to share the link because you guys need to go watch this. I'm going to go watch this full episode. Like, this is... come on, computer. Copy the link address. Go.
Welcome to a drink with Boomer.
There it is. Oh, thank God. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the third clip. All right, you say this is the hook, right?
This is the hook.
It better be a good hook.
I'm in.
Always charge your batteries, he said. You don't want to run out of power mid-job. Always charge your batteries. I jump up and run to the shed where my power tools are. My 2 batteries scream at me when I throw open the doors. I pop one into my skill saw and hit the button, and heard that beautiful sound of a blade ready to cut. I pull my skill saw, sawzall, drill, and flashlight into the house. I have 1 day's worth of power and a vision, as if it was sent from God himself. Time to find all the metal I can. Shutters, the aluminum bat, screws, hammers, I got it all. The star-shaped guitar comes off the wall and gets placed on the table. I hear that hollow sound condensing as I pound the shutters flat. they'll make wonderful steel strips. A single cut is placed lengthwise down the bed. I mount the extra saw blades on the base of the guitar, along the 2 spikes holding the weight at the bottom. I drill enough screws into those saws to survive hell. Next, I take the cut bat and pry it open, prepping the neck of the guitar. Strips of shutters are placed around the body, continuing the reinforcement of the weapon. Now it's time for the finishing touch. I secure 2 pocket knives open and mount one on each spike at the head of the guitar. A weapon I can swing, stab, and everything in between. My axe becomes my axe. A weapon worthy of defending me. I will call it Shredder. A scream coming from outside cuts the mood. Could it be joy?
Wow.
It's fun, right? That's was my only goal. I just wanted to make something that somebody could have fun watching. That was
man, it's raw and I love it. It's and this is a good thing. The voiceover work does not perfectly match the music. And I know that is intentional. And that draws me in more because it makes me feel like the story is just raw and visceral and from the gut. And maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe you're just like, wow, really? The voiceover didn't make no. Am I wrong, or am I reading something wrong, or did you intend for that? Damn it, that was good. Damn it, that was good.
I don't think it's intentional, but there's a rhythm to what Joe does, and there's a rhythm to what I do. Mm-hmm. And when you pace out like the tempo of how he talks, that's one mm-hmm. thing. But as far as his inflections and how he delivers his lines, like that, like he takes care of all that. Like I'll kind of write, this is what the story is, and I say, do what you do best, and he just takes it from there.
Well, and I I'm a singer that plays guitar. That's just what and so I listen to the vocalists a lot more. The intonation of what he was doing versus the intonation of the music and the timing of the vocals very much falls into the prog metal, right? Where the timing isn't exactly succinct and the timing isn't exactly, 4/4 or even 3/4 if you really want to go with the jazzy beats. But damn it, if that wasn't that, man, that was good. Again, the timing of the vocals was not in sync with the timing of the instruments, and that's a good thing, and not many people can pull that off. And when you're telling a story like this with a visual comic, man, holy crap, that and maybe it's the music nerd in me. I don't care. That was fucking good.
If you take away the narration and the music and you read what I wrote as dialogue, you would say this sucks. Because it's, again, this story, it's a simple story. As I know, I'm not trying to get in over my head or achieve something that I can't reach. I know I can. This is the one story I know I can write. So I'm keeping it simple. It's all in the execution. And I think this is for all the Iron Age creators that are in the chat. I saw Paladin Dragoon in there earlier. I'm actually, I'm collaborating with Paladin Dragoon. I'm halfway into doing a song for him. His project is really cool. You guys need to check that out when he's ready. But yeah, I lost my train of thought now. The Iron Age.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, it's not the words you write. Well, it is if you're writing a book, but it's your execution. Everything falls in the execution. That is the most important part. If you can, and we need to realize where we're at. And this isn't insulting anybody because I put myself in this group, but we're trying to figure out how to get our names out there, how to get attention to these projects, but we're kind of small time right now. We need people to take the lead and take charge. And I hope I can do that. I hope you can do that. But when you create your stories, just remember, execute to the best of your ability. Don't execute better than the best of your ability. You have to become better than you were yesterday. Kill your old self and there's a rebirth and you're better for it. And just that's how you create stories. That's every day. Do that every single day.
Truth.
Yeah. I was curious talking about the narration. So did you write it with kind of like a lyrical edge in mind? Because I noticed there were times when it seemed that way and then other times not as much. Or did you kind of like write the narration and then massage it a bit to try and make it work?
Well, I wrote the narration and Joe massaged it a bit because he's much better. He's a great lyricist also. Like he's a really good writer. So I wrote basically what the story's about and I give it to him and I record it too. I'll record so he has an idea of the pacing more than anything, not really my inflections or anything, but I'll record a track of me. It sounds terrible. And if you guys want to pay me, I'll send it to you. So you see how terrible it sounds. But I send it to him and I'm like, again, I just say, do what you do best. And he really puts his own twist on everything. There's a lot of ad lib. There's a lot in the script that I had to change for the text that in the video that you see of just ad libbing that he did. And I need that because that's not a strong point of mine. So I get to work with somebody who's better than me at that. And the proof's in the pudding.
Awesome. Well, I was just kind of curious. I was going to say, what's the length of these? What's the length of the first episode going to be at least?
17 minutes. I think it's 17 minutes and 3 seconds, but each episode is going to be between 15 and 20 minutes. It's going to be released for free on YouTube. I think with the medium that I'm releasing this, because a lot of people are doing print and physical media, and I think that's preferable to digital media. So I'm kind of cutting against my own grain here. But I think in the way I'm releasing it, I can release it for free without undercutting other creators because it's just different from what a lot of people are doing when I'm doing. But I think 15 to 20 minutes is a good length where it's not that big of a commitment, but it's still long enough to give you something substantial as far as entertainment and, building a story that connects to this longer narrative over multiple episodes.
Gotcha. And how many episodes you said there's going to be follow-up, but there's more than just 2, correct?
So I'm referring to everything in comic terms. So I call this an issue, like one video is an issue.
Okay.
I have 2 runs planned. So the first one, the plot's completely, everything's written out. Well, not every piece of dialogue, but the plot is done. I know exactly how the first one is going to go. The second run, I don't have everything yet, but I have exactly how it ends. And it's an epic. Again, I use the word personal a lot. It's going to be a very, very personal ending. I really want this to, it's not going to touch everybody, but the people that it touches, I really want it to impact them like, wow, this is awesome. So, 2 runs. The first run's probably going to be between 6 and 9 episodes. I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take to get there. If I want to extend or embellish here and there to kind of add to the story, I will. But that's what I'm looking at for the first run.
Awesome.
I think you're on mute, Crazy.
Yeah, Royce, you're muted, bud.
Sorry, I was trying to. I was hitting the microphone when I was taking my jacket off because I live in the Midwest, so my basement's really cold, and then I put a jacket on, and my basement's really hot, so I take the jacket off.
My air conditioner's back on now, so.
What the fuck? Anyway,
the joys of living in.
Yeah,
Houston.
that's Texas for you.
I couldn't.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
I couldn't.
It got up to like 53. I was like, "Ooh, this is wonderful."
We were at like 45 yesterday. It was awesome. Anyway, I digress. So, what does your release schedule look like for obviously this being the first episode of Ruthless? What's the release schedule how are you going to manage that time, and what's the frequency of it?
Yeah, that's the important one, because you can't wait too long, because then if you get good, let's say 100,000 people. I'm not saying they will, but let's say 100,000 people view this. If I don't get one out in 3-4 months, everybody's going to forget about you, right? So as far as musically, and not everything's music, but the music is definitely the majority of the work as far as time, what it takes for time. Because again, story is simple, and the whole 17-minute episode, it's like 3 pages of writing. It's really not that much because of the pacing of how he narrates everything. It takes me about 2 months to do the music for this whole thing, but then you have to write the story. You have to, work on a narration. There's mixing and mastering. There's coordinating the art with the artist and figuring out what you want with the art. Promotion, reaching out to you, say, hey, I did this, and can I come on your stream and promote it? So there's a lot that comes with it if you really want it to be successful. But I'm hoping that every 3 to 4 months I'll get another issue out. Every 3 to 4 months. So I'm hoping for 3 to 4 issues in 2023.
Love that. And Ruthless definitely belongs in the Iron Age.
Dude,
thank you.
I will say this, out of the projects that I have seen come across my desk, my timeline, I do not mean any disrespect to any of the creators. Yours is the most unique that I have seen, because you are combining multiple genres of entertainment with music, visual being the comic, and storytelling. And a lot of people aren't trying to do the triad. They do, they do the double. They do, the comics. They do novels. You're incorporating music and trying to do something that would be tantamount to a Metalhead's version of a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. That's a really
I just don't see a lot of people doing that.
No, it was done a while back with heavy metal, visual storytelling and music, but it's not done very often. And I think the reason for that is that it requires someone like JVP who has that musical background and wants to get into storytelling, and then you hire out with an artist, but most of the work is being done by him. The rest of us, sadly, like, I can't draw to save my life, so I hire other people to do it.
And you could probably draw better than me. That's how bad I am.
Nah, man, I am stick figures only.
Dude, I tell people I couldn't draw a stick figure if I had a full cup of coffee and a full mind to focus. Like, I can't.
My daughter is a visual artist. She's done a lot of the of concept art for me with most of my books, but I give her ideas on, and I'm like, so this is sort of what I'm looking for, and she just looks up at me, and I can see her laughing in her mind at how ridiculous my terrible drawing is, and then she has to make it into something that actually looks good.
Well, I think this is where the Iron Age has an advantage. We can collaborate. We can do it for cheap or even free. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm working with Paladin Dragoon. I'm also working with a guy named Vincent Baker. He's creating a tabletop RPG.
Oh yeah,
that's inspired from Death Note, which to me sounds awesome. So I'm doing a little a song for him for a commercial, and I know I do music, and there's a lot of writers in the Iron Age, but we need to get artists, we need to get writers, we need to get more musicians in the Iron Age. Can't just be me. We need more. True. We need more, and we need quality. And we need to collaborate, because if you can go and get somebody to do something better than you can, that instantly boosts the quality of your project. Mm-hmm. Be mindful of your weaknesses and search other people out that can fill those gaps for you. That's how we can bring each other up together. Yep. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's one of the unsung things that I until now, as I publicly say it on a live stream, have sort of kept under my proverbial hat, is that I operate not just in the financial realm, but off of a bartering system. working with other people. It's something that I've been doing ever since I started writing, but I've kept it under wraps until now. But specifically saying it because you brought it up, collaboration, contribution with each other's work is going to vastly and quickly grow your ability to get your projects done.
Well, I have a couple things. First off, I think that taking multimedia
Skunks.
I was going to say multimedia approaches to things, so that if you have an IP that you're passionate about, because a lot of this is about developing intellectual properties that are not just one thing, because that's kind of what a lot of consumers have gotten very used to.
Sure.
They watch a Star Wars movie, put on a Star Wars shirt, play a Star Wars video game, go to a Star Wars themed theme park. They, you know what I mean? Like they go to conventions where people dress up as Star Wars characters. You know what I mean? And obviously that scope is beyond anything that we're capable of at this time, but I think it's something to pay attention to, that there's a lot of value in doing something aside from just being like, okay, I've got a t-shirt and some stickers. I mean, listen, some of your fans might want some t-shirts and stickers and stuff like that, but Redbubble isn't going to provide you everything that you need to engage people on multiple fronts. And so that's why I think something like Ruthless is really interesting, is that you're spanning different mediums. And I think that there's a lot of, I think that there are a lot of, potential places for Iron Age creators of all stripes, like you were saying, to jump in and contribute on something if they feel passionate about it.
Absolutely.
Because these days it's so easy to create something, especially digitally these days. It can be anything from music to art to like 3D modeling, or websites, even whatever. And those skills are extremely low cost and high leverage whenever you're working in the digital realm. Now, getting out of that is another story, but that's why I encourage people, if you have a creator that you like and you want to support them and you're good at something, I mean, make them an offer, and both of your lives can be better that way.
Right.
So,
and we can't compete with Hollywood's budget.
No,
right?
We shouldn't.
We lose.
No, it's a endless supply of money. Not exactly endless, but functionally.
That doesn't mean that we can't deliver quality. We can absolutely deliver quality that can grip an audience. And you don't have to spend millions of dollars on it to do it. We can do it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look back at a lot of the older media, from prior years, I mean, it's really only in the past 2 decades or so that so many budgets have become insanely bloated, and so it's like, I mean, obviously you can talk about like the decline of quality of media and everything else in the past, quite a while now, but at least in the last 20 years. But, and it's obvious that you can't just buy quality, but yeah, you make a good point that it doesn't necessarily cost a whole lot to have quality. It just costs you time and effort and, your own internal standards.
And the one thing Hollywood can't compete on, because nobody has any for any of their creations, is the love of your creation. If you can get across to whoever's consuming whatever you create in any type of media that you love doing it, love creating it, you're beating Hollywood, because you can tell they don't care. They do not care about any of what they're making. They want to fall into, as a libertarian commentator, Tom would say, the 3x5 index card of allowable opinion, right? That's where they need to fall, because that's how they make their money. They only care about money. So if you can get across to whoever's consuming your media that you loved making this, that's going to win them over, even if they're false. And, if there are faults, identify them and get better next time and keep going. Every time you create something, it should be better than the last thing. And
Correct.
if it's not, you're doing something wrong. You need to stop and adjust and get back on track of continuously getting better every time you create something.
And that is 100% true. That is, and when you think of creating something, don't just think of writing a book, creating a song. Think of, if you're doing YouTube videos, like that's what I do. Every video, it's got to be better than the last. It has to be. My presentation has to be better than the last. My everything. My thumbnails, which oftentimes are not, because I suck at thumbnails. But
I kind of hate thumbnails.
Yeah.
They're annoying. They're annoying, to say the least.
I
He's
like the
not
ones we
wrong.
do.
Everything that you do, it has to be better than the last thing. And I would argue that even includes you as a person. It's one of the things I would rather, I want to go to bed a better man than I woke up as. So if you go, how do I write a better story tomorrow than I did today? Well, think about how you were as a person today and go to bed a better man than you were when you woke up this morning. And then when you wake up tomorrow to write that story, you can use that. I hate the,
Spend an
well, I just
hour
want to
on
wake
call
up.
with me. It'll happen.
Yeah. I want to wake up a better man. Nobody that I know works on themselves when they sleep. Nobody. But what you can do is you can go to bed a better man than when you woke up as. And that's the key. That's the key. Pick that thing. Find that thing. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you radically improve on everything that is you and all of a sudden you're this magical, saint of a person. No, it means you pick one thing, and you go, okay, well, I probably screwed up on 10 things today, but at least in this one thing, I can do better tomorrow. And that's it. That's all it takes. Don't think that when people tell you your next project has to be better than the one that you did today, that means that every single tiny little aspect has to be better than what you did today. No, it just pick one thing. Pick the worst aspect of what you did and go, you know what? Maybe I could have phrased the way that the character spoke a little better. Well, you know what? Maybe I set that scene off a little bit. Maybe I need to characterize the scene a little better. Well, you know what? Maybe I could have described the house they were walking into. Pick one thing. Just one. And improve that thing. And maybe it's the worst thing that you did. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's like the medium thing. Maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like the thing that you were almost there at. Doesn't matter. Pick one thing and do that thing better next time. And make that one thing as perfect as you can. And then move on to the next thing. And that is how you will succeed as a storyteller, as a presenter, as an overall human being, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a son. That's the thing. Rome wasn't built in a day, ladies and gentlemen. Pick the one thing that you can think of that day, and that's what you go for. And
that applies to the bedroom too. Got to get better there as well.
2 hours, ladies and gentlemen.
And here's the thing, and he's
this
not
is the
wrong.
First show,
and he's not wrong.
No, but this is the first show since we started where it took us 2 hours before it got sexual.
Has it really? No, it has not.
It has. Go back and watch the rest of the shows, man.
That makes me the least perverted guest on Iron Age Nights.
There we
That's
go.
really well,
No,
it took a
mostly it's us.
metalhead. It took a
Low
metalhead
bar.
to be the least perverted guest.
Yeah, it's really
But-
low bar because usually one of us is the one that breaks the sexual seal.
Oh, there
But-
you go.
But here's the thing: he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But when I always tell people, they go, "Well, how do you be a better person throughout the day? Like, what do you?" Because I've had friends like, "Well, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know.
You just can't stop
I
laughing.
pick some random thing that maybe I screwed up in the day." And I just go, "Hey, this thing is the most obvious thing that I can think of in the day. And you know what? I'm going to try to be better at this stupid thing by the end of the day than I was when I woke up in the morning." And so many people get this horrible idea in their head that they have to radically alter who they were throughout their entire course of their life in like 5 minutes. And I just don't think that's an adequate way to do it.
Yeah.
Pick those small things. Pick the smallest things that you can actually accomplish in life. Like, I don't know, when your kid looks at you and says, "Hey, Dad, here's this thing," and you're watching a YouTube video and you go, and you put the YouTube video away and you go, "Hey, kid, I'm sorry, I was distracted. What were you telling me?" And you listen to your son tell you about his Lego creations. I'm being very specific here. Very specific.
If you're a creator with children, which I am, right? And I know we're different types of creators. That's a good rule to live by. Like, I don't really work on anything when the kids are up. It's really when they go down. But if you are working on something and they come to you, you break your attention and you do the father thing first. And that will help balance you out. Because if you try and grind it out and burn yourself out, you're not going to achieve the quality that you want to achieve. So focus on what's most important.
One of the things I was thinking about is that, a way of improvement is also just building habits. And, I forget, I think it's like, like the 2-week mark is whenever habits actually get ingrained.
Yep.
And so on and so forth. So, I mean,
21 days. I was always told.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to claim
No, you're fine. I was told.
It takes 2 weeks to set a pattern. It takes 3 weeks for that pattern to become semi-subconscious.
There we go. Okay. But, even just getting to the point where you're doing these things and iterating, I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear, because it's easy to kind of like go on a bender for a couple days trying to grind on something, and then you're like, okay, I've got like 80% done, but then that 20%, of course, is the hardest, and you've got to maintain
the completion.
Yeah, and I think that the thing about the Iron Age that I've heard people deride it as, it's like a return to the primitive or something like that, as in like we're discarding, better things of the past and so on and so forth. And I'm like, it's not that you're discarding things of the past. It's that those things are of the past, and at some point in time we can be respectful of cultural history and all the prior works that great creators have made. But the reality is that if you don't create anything new, you're not going to be engaging with a lot of people, and it's also kind of, in my mind, arrogant to think that all good things have already been made, and so
I'm going to have to disagree on that one.
You mean there's no more good works to be made?
No, there's no unexplored territory. There are plenty of good works to be made, but there's no unexplored territory. If you
I don't know if I agree with that, but
I think I'm in the middle of both of you.
There's less unexplored territory. That's why execution matters.
Yes, that's the point I'm making. You can create something that's vibrant and fresh, but it's something that's vibrant and fresh that is still based on something else.
No, and damn it. I do not believe that there is unexplored territory so much anymore. And if there is, I mean, it's For the person who finds the unexplored territory, you will make $1 billion. Like that guy, because I mean, it's unexplored territory. But the way that the common territory or the explored territory is attacked, the direction that it's explained, and the way that the way that it is talked about, and the story that is built around already known territory can make the difference. The perspective. That's the word I was looking for. The perspective. I have a lot of beer in me right now. Not gonna lie, guys. A little bit zzz. A little bit zzz right now.
Yeah.
Really. Here's the bad part. You can't tell the difference from me sober and kind of zzz. So you know what?
I can totally tell. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not that hard. It's whenever you start doing the dad
you
talk.
get ranty when you've had a couple.
And you start to slur
I
a
get
little bit.
ranty normally. Have you not seen
No.
my videos?
There's a difference. When you without the drink, you have a way that you speak about things, and you're a little more fluid in the way that you project them. When you've had a couple, you get ranty where you start repeating points.
Damn it.
Bartender,
really
cut off
gonna
Zach
fuck-
Morris.
But what I was saying, my disagreement with Richard specifically, best summed up by a quote by Mark Twain, which is that there's no new ideas in the world. What creators do is they take old ideas and they put them through a sort of mental kaleidoscope in order to make a fresh perspective of the old concepts. It's a paraphrase. It's not the direct quote.
No.
But everything has essentially been done. There's only so many stories that can be told. What a creator
because
can
there's only so many human experiences
Right.
that can be experienced. We're
Yeah.
human.
So what
They're-
a creator
they're-
can do is take an experience and sort of twist it in a new direction, but it's still the same concept. It's just told in a new way.
You always have an opportunity to make something original.
Yep.
That never goes away. So even though you may be doing
That's
something
what
that's been
confuses people: original versus new and unexplored.
Yeah, I'm just saying
Interesting. I
that I
like
think
that
there
idea.
are new.
I've not separated it into those terms before.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I was just my point was that I think that there are still good things that can be created,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
culturally speaking.
Agreed.
And
forever.
You know, we as a culture, I feel like, have really backslid for quite a while on a lot of these respects. And
Speaking mainstream.
yeah, I mean, mainstream. I mean, I think even if you look at some of the well, I don't know. It depends on what medium you're talking about, but there's a lot of, I would say, talent that's dried up from prior generations that isn't being passed down, like, you know, knowledge and the how-to of things, the artistry of these various mediums isn't being passed along like maybe it had been previously. And so I think that the Iron Age is in some ways an attempt of a new generation of people to develop those skills and hopefully not only create new good things, but also create a trend of just people, like independent people, creating good things, like good quality stuff.
And the thing is that the term the Iron Age came after what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There are people, and I think we've met a lot of them, and I mean, Richard, you've met more of them than I have, because the amount of writers that flock to your website are
there's a lot of short stories on there.
Yeah, I don't envy you, but the people who are doing exactly what you're talking about for the Iron Age, they existed before the term became a thing.
Correct.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I had a whole trilogy before it came out.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that obviously we talk about the Iron Age because that just seems to be a galvanizing term.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, there are people out there who are wanting to tell stories that are inspiring, at least to them.
Mm-hmm.
And have the balls to share that story with somebody else. Because if you've ever been on stage in front of anybody, it's terrifying.
Yep.
I might have a song that I wrote, but I might be terrified to play it in front of somebody. And I say that with very much personal experience. It took my brother to break that of me. But you might have a story that you want to tell. You might have this idea in your head that's sitting there, it's festering. You've put it on the page, but you have to have the balls to tell it. And I think that the term Iron Age came after, and I'm glad that Razorfist kind of coined the term and kind of, or at least if he didn't coin it, he made it popular.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that he at least made the term popular to describe a subsect of people out there who are not only willing to write a story, but who also have the balls to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it takes a lot of courage.
It does. It does. And I understand. I never made it past the bar scene, but to sit there in front of 12 real life human beings and sing something that you wrote in your basement for the first time, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's utterly terrifying for an author to put something on a page and put it out there on Amazon and then try to go to Twitter and say, hey guys, to the people who've listened to me tell snarky jokes for the last however long, check out this book that I wrote. And then you wait for the comments to roll in. You wait for that person to come up to you at the end of the night and go, you know what? And you're like, oh, here it comes. It's terrifying. It can be the greatest moment of your life or the worst moment of your life. But you put yourself out there regardless.
But you cannot be good on stage until you bomb on stage. You can't be a good writer until you bomb as a writer. So take everything. Everything's a learning experience. Like, everybody, and we're really focused on the creators of the Iron Age. I want to make a comment soon on what you do, Royce, and what you do, Richard, because that's equally as important. But my last comment to the creators: we're all putting out stuff. You're gonna bomb. Don't let that, don't let that kill your will. You've got it. You have to figure out a way to take that bomb and anger and convert that to energy back into your next project. Use that anger. A lot of people say you need to control your anger. That is controlling your anger. It's okay to be angry. And look,
may I interject here, because you're touching on a very important point that I've touched on in the past. It's people say, oh, you need to learn to control your anger. No.
Use it.
Yes. No, you need to learn when to use your anger. It's what I tell my son, because my son has 3 sisters. It's me and my boy in the house. Oh boy. My wife and my wife and my 3 daughters. We're in an estrogen sea. It's me and the boy, and here in about 4 or 5 years, one of you guys is gonna need. Me and the boy are gonna live with one of you guys for at least a few months out of the year. But I tell my son, because my son,
His wife's gonna get on chat and roast him soon.
Oh yeah. my son is me, man. He's an emotional little boy. And I have to look at him in the eyes and I go, look, you're not bad for getting angry when you did. But you need to learn when to use your anger. Anger is a good thing. It's built into us. We should use it.
True.
But there's a time and a place. And honestly, in creativity, knowing how to tap into anger when you're writing something, knowing how to tap into happiness, knowing how to tap into sadness, and people who can do that, and it's why I'm sympathetic to so many artists and writers out there, for people who can tap into emotion, because most people on the planet cannot tap into emotion at will.
No.
And
music is really easy, a lot easier than the written word.
I would say, nope, you're wrong.
I don't know.
It's not easy to create it, but it's easy. It's in its delivery method. It's easier to convey emotion.
It is because.
Well, I'm a jazz guy. It's one of my favorite genres. So music is the voice of the soul.
And I'm not saying that it's harder. I'm just, when it comes to the feeling of music, because music has this ethereal presence. It's hard to describe. But when you feel something and you turn it into musical notes, and then you also have to write lyrical words to that musical note, it compounds emotion in a different way. And that's why I'm not saying it's harder or easier than the written word. Because I also do believe that for the written word, such as authors, there is an idea of thoughtfulness and maybe less of feeling, because music is there's thoughtfulness behind the written word on the page. And when it comes to music, and I'm going to use feeling here very loosely, because music is it's a different beast in and of itself. But I think that the two aren't necessarily harder or less than. I think they're equal, potentially, depending on the way that you approach it. But as somebody who has written music and has had hundreds of song ideas literally that have just died on my phone recordings, and I've had, out of the hundreds of song ideas that I've had 20 that I've ever produced. I don't think that music is any easier than writing a book. I really don't. I really do think that that just being a writer in any format of being a writer, it's probably equally as hard, but based on the individual perspective of the writer. And I'm potentially a little bit too drunk and a little bit, but does that make any sense?
Yeah, actually makes perfect sense to me.
They like print and music have different advantages and disadvantages. Like, right? Like reading a book can really impact somebody intellectually. Like really change their world. I wish I read more books today. I don't think I've read a full book. Well, there's one book I did read, the comic books, but like a 300-page book. And I used to read them all the time. And I haven't read a book in like 10 years. And I just wish I had the time to do it. But I've had books change my whole, like rearrange my logic before. Music doesn't do that. Music rearranges your emotions. So they attack different sensibilities of a person.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's why I think we need all these creators.
Royce has to show off Dante's Inferno now.
Put it in a case. Put it in a case.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Dude,
I'm working
it's been
on
what,
it.
2 months now?
Yeah, come on,
I
chop
have
chop.
I have to build a case. Trust me, it doesn't move.
Slacker.
It doesn't move very often. I
But
just
put it on a
But-
shelf behind you and knock it down on a stream.
please no, not dude. This is
Shots
140
fired.
years old.
Just
This
kidding.
is 142 years old. No,
Wow, that's I didn't know that. Oh, that's beautiful.
no, and it's
Yeah,
in its
it is
original binding.
old.
Oh wow, okay, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
no. But
Put that
you
in a
said
safe.
books that, but you had
Why it
mentioned.
belongs in a case.
I'm working on it. I actually, there's not a case that fits it. I actually have to build one myself. So, but you mentioned, I know chop chop. Okay, I get, but you sons of bitches. But you mentioned that thing that speaks to you, that book that makes you think of something, you know, more than what you are. And at least that's what I heard. I don't know, but that's why I grabbed the book.
Mhm.
Yeah, beautiful book.
It's and you're not wrong. There is an artistry and there is a careful contemplation to the written word that I will say is there in the written word and not necessarily in music, because a careful contemplation of the written word is not the caring emotion that comes across in music.
I think it's entirely different. It's dependent on the genre of music as well.
Yeah.
You know, just like it's very dependent on the genre of literature, I think.
Maybe
You
I'm
know,
just built different because I
Break
think
that-
my best scenes are the ones that make me feel things, and I expect readers will feel those things because
Sure.
I felt
Yeah.
them.
But
You
I
know,
mean,
that's
but when
what
it
you
co-
hope for. But as a musician, what I thought were my best songs may not have been hits, and what I thought were some songs that were mediocre,
Mhm.
the crowd would like them more. So you never know
True.
how you're going to connect with somebody. You just never know.
Good point.
Dude, I thought one of the songs that people would hate, and I performed it on stage. It was called the song itself was called "Summer Love," and it was some amalgamation between like this country song and like some hipster song. But I just loved the song. I love the story that I told, and I will never forget looking out into the crowd. One of the first times I sang this song in front of a crowd, and I just see couples just holding hands, and you know, the guys are putting their hands around their girls, and there was a couple girls that, you know, they were dating, and you know, the one girl puts her hand around the other, and I just look out in the crowd and I just see couples together. And that's not a song that I thought people would love. I thought it was too cheesy. I thought it was too dopey, I guess. And I look out into the crowd and there are couples just sitting there. And they're just looking at each other. And the song, it's called Summer Love, and the chorus line, it says young summer love, and the storyline is about this. This part, they used to date each other, and they go, oh hey, do you remember all this times back when we were young, and how are you? And oh, you've got kids now, and like, man, well, and the guy is kind of like, oh wow, you have kids, you moved on with life, but man, I'll never forget, when we were young and in love. And it's a weird cliche kind of a story, but I'll never forget that night, just looking around the crowd and just going, wow, the notes that I'm singing right now, the words that I'm saying, and I'm literally watching couples who are already together fall in love all over again, just rocking back and forth to the notes that I'm singing. And that is a feeling that again, music has a feeling that I don't know if the written word can have.
Right.
But there is a contemplativeness that I don't think that music can have, because there is a separation there.
It's a fair point. On that note, I think it's about time we get into those super chats, Race.
But before we do, if I can hijack the show for a second.
Oh, yeah, go
Please
for
do.
it.
Someone needs to.
He goes,
I am the
He has
guest.
that perfect. But before we do, I love that.
But first,
Look, this has been really focused on like, and I had it planned coming on your show to kind of try and address Iron Age creators the best I can. I don't know if I'm an inspirational guy, but I know music can be inspirational. So it's like I'm doing my best, and if I can like connect with any creator to get them better, then great. But what you guys do, what you and Richard do to expose our artwork to people, Richard from Iron Age Media was actually the first person that I wrote out to for Ruthless, because he had the website, and his website is specifically for what I'm doing. So he kind of is looking for stuff, and it was kind of a natural fit. But just him going through the grind, and I've done grind work too, and a lot of it is out of love, but a lot of it is also not fun. It's tedious, it's time consuming. And if you've never created a website, which I've created many websites, you have no idea what that looks like on the back end. So
it's a nightmare.
It is.
I've
tried to make it easy for myself, so
I've only done like 2.
Yes.
It's a nightmare. It's horrible.
You guys have no idea the conversation Richard and I had about mine.
I might have. Yeah, I might have roasted it. I'm sorry, man. I was
roasted, man, blackened and burned and left in the bottom of the
It's like
flames.
a charred corpse.
Yeah.
I hear Gordon Ramsay in my mind talking about a website. Put some seasoning on it.
It's rubbish.
It's
Bar
rubbish.
does not even follow the page when you scroll, Daniel.
It's true. He went after me, man. It was awesome.
It does now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But
I'm just
yeah,
trying to
I know,
help. It's only out of love.
But, and that's one of the things that I hope, not even just this movement, but whatever people that we're attracting. If you say, hey, check my stuff out, and the person goes, you know what? You could work on it here. Do not turn into a baby back bitch about it and go,
yes.
Okay, you know what? But be smart enough to go, okay, you're absolutely right about this point here. I totally get it. But you're not right here. Now, maybe that's because you didn't explain it correctly. But you, as a creative, as a writer, stand behind your product. But don't stand behind it enough that you're just a zealot for your product. Stand behind it enough to go, oh crap, maybe I could fix that little part here. But don't bend the knee to people. That's what I'm saying.
Appreciate the hate. The only thing you want to avoid is indifference. But if you get hate, you're still connecting with that person, which means you're probably almost there or maybe closer than you think. So
Right.
appreciate that and consider it. Take it in and consider it, even if you disagree with it. Just that's how you increase your wisdom when I'm a little bit older. I'm going to be 40 next year, but that's how you gain wisdom and kind of let go of the small things and focus on what's important. You appreciate the hate. Love it. Love the haters.
No,
Accidentally
One of my
roasted Daniel
favorite tweets is that I put out every couple of months is normalizing failure. And that goes hand in hand with embracing the hate and taking criticism. Because it's one of the things that I talk to clients about a lot, is that they get a negative review or a review that isn't just, oh, you're perfect, everything is wonderful, and fall apart about it. And not saying that everybody does, but some do. And it can really burn your mojo and make you not want to keep going if you don't look at it as advice, not naysaying as it may sound to you at the time.
Yeah. And I think, speaking of back to Horizon Talker, I think he's also Art Table Talk and a couple other things. You got to pick a name, man. But he did a critique of the website, kind of a review / critique of the website.
Chat.
Uh-oh.
And I really appreciated it. And Royce made some critiques whenever he first went over it, and I appreciated that. The thing I always try to remember, I know it's like a cheesy phrase or whatever, but it's like the difference between the master and the novice is that the novice has failed once and the master has failed 1,000 times,
Correct.
And so,
Man, can I? I'm sorry. You just
I know it's cheesy, but I try to keep that in mind.
You just reminded me of
Good one.
something. It's back when I was working in the oil field, and I was just working in a warehouse handling hazardous chemicals. My old boss looks at me and goes, "You know what the difference between youth and experience is, right?" And I was like, "No, I don't." Me being the youth. I was 19 years old, maybe I might have been 20 at the time. And he goes, "Well, youth will do anything to get the job done. Experience will hand the youth the tools to do it."
Yeah.
And you just reminded me of that. It's like, the experienced guy, he's failed a lot. He knows all the mistakes. But at the same time, in my brain, I was like, oh no, but the experienced guy, he's totally going to hand the youthful guy those tools and let him figure it out.
Let him make the mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to.
Yep.
And I think that those are some of the best teachers, are the people who will let you make your own mistakes. I think those are some of the best teachers.
Yep.
Adversity itself is a great teacher.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Gentlemen, should I get into some of the super chats that have been left
let's
on
do it.
And then
We're at the 2 hours and 30 minutes mark.
Oh God. I'm a lot more drunk than I thought I was. Anyway, but not only will we get into super chats, but once super chats are done, you guys stay in the chat and we will talk with you guys for a little bit before we go into the after show, which is basically where we end the show and then we all just decide we don't want to go to bed. That's what the after show is. It's nothing special, but I want to turn the after show into like something that I can just hit a button and go to locals. But over here on the locals side, we're gonna start with the locals side. For $10, Kikomon says, "Nobody said it yet. #1 Iron Age YouTube daddy."
Had to be said.
I love Kikomon. I also deeply despise Kikomon. Frequency Studios for $4.20. It says, "Don't forget to tip the bartender." Nope, ladies and gentlemen, I am your bartender. Don't forget to tip your bartender. That's great. I love the hell out of you guys. You embarrass the hell out of me every single stream. Let's see. For $2, Kikomon says, "Show me, show you." Kikomon. He's late. Yeah, Kikomon was late. Okay, and then Kikomon actually had a decent amount of questions here this evening for $10 from Kikomon. "I don't understand the difference between the metals. Can you distinguish between metal, heavy metal, garbage metal, death metal? Furthermore, what is the line between metal and
it's like a
rock
4-hour
/
stream right
pop?"
there.
Ooh, can I answer
okay. Yeah, go for it. Because I go for it. Whatever you leave lying, I'll do my best to pick up. But I think I know where you're gonna go.
Okay, so the difference between metal and heavy metal, there is no difference. That's just us being lazy and just saying metal instead of heavy metal. We're cutting out 2 syllables out of it.
Nope. I highly disagree.
I mean, you could be wrong all day long, but I have been a metal composer for 20 years.
Good, sir. If you lack the brain power to tell the difference between metal and heavy metal,
this is
we're friends now. This is great.
coming in hot.
I would say
Let them fight.
So
what kind of metal is Nickelback in your opinion?
no, that no, actually, no. In their earlier days, they would have been considered more thrash, or well, not thrash metal. They would have been considered more pop metal. As they went on, after they got past their Silver Side Up album, they actually turned into more of an alternative rock band, which is fine. But no, Nickelback did more of the metal tones back in the day. 80s metal. The problem with metal is that they started to do the subgenre bullshit with it, and that's where it gets really complicated, because you have your 80s hair metal, and then what a lot of people just consider regular raw metal. You're talking about your old school Metallica, your old school Megadeth, your old school Panteras, right? Like the guys that were really just, you couldn't subgenreify them. They were just metal. They just heavy guitar, good vocals, and the vocals might not have just been metal in and of itself. Now, when you start getting into the heavier metal side of things, I would consider guys in the area when you really start getting into the growling vocals, right? So it's not just having heavy instrumentals, but it's the growling vocals. You know, your Avenged Sevenfolds. You get into your oh, damn it, I said them earlier. Crap. My wife would know this a lot better than I would. She listens to a lot of more black metal and heavy metal than I do. But you get into more of the growling vocals. Huh?
Like Amon Roth. That's a black metal.
Yeah, no, she listens to, I mean, you get your guys' Cradle of Filth. You get Cradle of Filth, and just God, and I can't remember all the band. My wife my wife's cleaning music is heavy metal. It's not my cleaning music, but there are so many bands out there when you really start getting into the heavier side of things. Then you have your black metal, your death metal, which very different tones, or whether it's talks about very dark, very death tone things, or very dark, just, you know, life tone things. There are differences between all the genres of metal and the writing in and of itself, which actually goes back into the poetry of writing and how people actually write things. And ultimately, I absolutely fucking hate the subgenreification of music. All that shit that I just explained, because I had to learn it, I fucking hate it. It pisses me off. It genuinely pisses me off. So, plot twist, I fucking hate the subgenreification of music.
I agree with the end there, and I think that's the most important part. End part, yeah.
Dude, no, but I understand all of it.
Now, for JVP's opinion.
I disagree with everything he said except that last part.
No, but it's but tell me it's not wrong. Tell me there are not subtle differences between all this. And it's just fucking music.
Dude,
but they subgenreified it to a fucking point that it's stupid.
If it's good, it's good. If it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter what genre.
100%. 100 fucking percent. No, I hate the subgenreification of music. It has absolutely decimated the music community. But you don't listen to this exact. Shut the fuck up, dude. Can we just listen to the same fucking song and have a good time with it? No, you can't anymore, because we started doing this shit in the 90s. And then, don't get me wrong, I love, like, probably my favorite genre of music would be considered the alternative rock, alternative pop music of the 90s. You know, your Matchbox 20s, the Goo Goo Dolls. I mean, stuff like that. Like, Eve 6, stuff like that. I grew up with it. That's what I love the most. I can name the most music from that genre. But the subgenreification of music has absolutely eviscerated the appreciation of music. Yeah. It has turned the music fan into the music enemy.
You like Offspring?
Their earlier stuff, yeah, and even a couple of their newer things, yeah.
I'll always love Offspring. They can never really.
They have the rare talent of actually, as they've gone throughout the years, they still sound like themselves.
Yeah.
They might have a different twist on their music, but they have the rare. However, I don't like the fact that they kicked out their drummer because their drummer had their drummer has an actual genetic disorder that would not allow their drummer to get the shot. You know what I'm talking about? And they said, and they kicked him out.
I remember that.
Actually, Tim Pool ended up doing a song with him, which they didn't utilize the drummer from The Offspring. And he's a fantastic drummer too.
Yes.
Like the guy knows how to beat on the drums, and Tim Pool did not utilize him for it. It was one of the most limp dick songs I've fucking heard in a while.
Tim Pool sucks as a composer. Let's just call a spade a spade.
I don't think he sucks as a composer. I just don't think he's god at everything he composes.
He's terrible.
It was fucking terrible, dude. That All I Ever Wanted song. Like, I'm like, oh, it's the drummer from the Offspring, and I'm waiting for the guy, and they never gave it to him. And he advertised it as I did a song with the drummer from the Offspring because, again, he couldn't get the shot and the political stuff. No, the Offspring, I actually had their greatest hits out. They're like their greatest hits. It's like I loved their greatest hits. I used to sit there and blast the stereo out of the garage on my stereo that I took out there and put out there because my dad wouldn't let me use his, and ride my dirt bike around and just haul ass, which used to piss my dad off because I destroyed his driveway with my dirt bike. But we won't go into that. But no, I used to listen to that stuff. You know, it again, when it comes to the subgenreification of music, people go, well, what's the difference between this? What's the difference between that? I've learned a lot of it. It doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. It's what you like, what you think is good. Like, for instance, I don't like Christian rock. Can't stand it. Irritates the hell out of me. Me being a guy who's fairly Christian, fairly religious, can't stand it. But there's a couple of bands out there that I like. It's the way that they deliver it. It's all in the delivery.
And now for more super chats.
Oh, God.
I could have swore you said I have their greatest hits before, not greatest hits.
I do.
He also called them the Offspring, so it's just slurring.
You know what, guys?
Dude, I'm on my third glass of rye, okay? It's a wonder I can talk right now.
I am not on my third beer. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't know how many I'm... Keep in mind, guys, I start drinking before Irish. I see you on Fridays. Iron Age Media in the private chat says we should probably get to super chat backlog.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was only like 30 minutes ago. That's okay.
I don't ever check, just so you guys know, I don't ever pay attention to the private chat.
I know.
Yeah, he can give a rat's ass about what we have to say.
Because the regular chat, I feel, is more important. Man, you know?
I'm just messing with you, man.
I know. Yeah, that's all you guys do. I see it on Twitter all the time. It's fine.
Richard was 1K away in the chat from getting your channel nuked, dude.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, what?
It's a joke.
KK
move on.
It's
okay, keep them on for $10. I don't understand the difference between metals. Okay, so I already read that one. For $5. Please share some of your favorite, not popular songs in the Gilded. Looking forward to hear some new stuff. Yeah, I will absolutely share some of my favorite, not popular songs in Gilded. I will absolutely do that thing.
Music, inspiration, conversation on the Gilded. Great idea.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of bands out there that I absolutely enjoy. 1,000 Foot Crutch. One of my favorite songs to listen to, in case I don't share it on the Gilded, but is Born This Way by 1,000 Foot Crutch. Those guys, just killer tune. Just absolutely killer tune. Gets the blood pumping, gets me motivated. Love that song.
Bury Your Dead, 12th Stroke of Midnight. It's a hell of a song.
There you go. You know what? You guys need to get in my music recommendation channel over on Gilded and just share the stuff you like. Convoy Bebop for $2. That is
Convoy Bebop,
one of my best friends in life, and he's He's one of the few people on the channel that has just carte blanche to join any live stream. Like, because I've known the guy for 15 years. And, well, it's
as long as he gets his mic mounted. Fix the mic stand.
I don't know what he did. What you got to understand about Convoy Bebop, he lives his life very cavalier. But
can tell.
Are we humans or are we code in the simulation? Fuck off. I'm not going there. God, I hate you, son of a bitch.
I'm personally code in the simulation. I don't know about that.
I hate simulation theory. I'm not going into it because it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it. Toxic Crusader for $20. Anyone into speed metal, Hybria and Gamma Ray are my go-to, especially when I'm working out. Would love to hear the panel's pick. Except Royce, your music opinion is invalid after the Nickelback comment. I mean, you guys into speed metal.
I don't listen to any. I really don't listen to any speed metal.
I think, like I said before, the closest thing that I could say comes to speed metal in my repertoire would be Dragon Force.
Symphony X. The closest thing that comes to speed metal for me is Symphony X, and it is their Odyssey album, which is actually a musical album of the Odyssey. And it is the Odyssey album. For those who haven't listened to it, is Symphony X, The Odyssey. Just go listen to that whole album.
I'll check that out.
It's fucking incredible. And a lot of people don't know Symphony X. They really...
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
They didn't get the praise that they should have. They really didn't. Man, God, those guys are good. They just... Man.
Like in prog rock, the Vast Visual Audio Sensory Theater.
Mm-hmm.
That band, the amazing composition, but they never took off really. They had I think one song that ended up being played on a couple of TV shows maybe 10 years ago, but that was it.
Yep. Kikomon for $10. This is JVP. Woo! Oh, the voice isn't there tonight. Man, I'm still getting over that sick shit.
I think that's usually the point where Kikomon's had many a drink.
No, the point where Kikomon has had many a drink is where he's just not here.
Yeah, but there's always a woo, and that usually precedes him leaving.
Well, you're not wrong. TSBOL, because I don't know how the hell to say that. For Canadian, $5 says it's worse than them not caring. They hate the IPs they buy, and they go out of their way to break them. Do you guys remember that conversation?
Yes. Yeah. I said the one advantage we have over Hollywood is we can love our creations because he 100% correct. They do they do it out of spite.
They do. Yeah, they do. They 100% do. I think you're absolutely correct. Kikomon for $2. Says Heinz, I'm coming for your inferior condiment. I think he's fighting with ketchup now. Kikomon has... And then I have a lot more from Kikomon. For $5 tip. Every time you read a fortune cookie, add in bed at the end, it will change your life. Oh, I've 100% done that.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. For $2.
My other favorite one actually comes from a little cartoon that was on, I think, Adult Swim on the Cartoon Network a long time ago called Harvey Birdman.
Oh, wow.
It was a joke. Yeah, it was a joke show about Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters and what they were doing after their shows. And Birdman, the superhero, became a lawyer. But they do this thing with Supervolt, aka Black Vulcan, where his catchphrase on the show is "in my pants," and you can do the same thing as in bed in my pants, and it's fucking hilarious.
Oh God! Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, no. Wait.
And Royce fights with the chat.
Well, maybe I shouldn't drink too much before the stream. Anyway, for $2, Kikamon. This is Daniel with a heart.
Hi.
I don't know why he loves you, but he loves you.
I love you too, Kikaman.
For $5, everyone should seek negative reviews. I hate positive feedback. If I don't hear negative feedback, then I feel like you're being fake / nice / lying. You know what? But tell me you guys all don't have like a family member that just like everything you do is like perfect to them.
Sure, but you should be able to take a victory lap.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think it's good to be able to accept praise as well as criticism.
Yeah.
No, but it is. But that's not what he's saying. If all you receive is praise, and it's like your first outing, someone's lying to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I almost agree with Kikomon. Is I would rather receive more negative than I would positive.
You can tell the people that that actually read, if you're an author, read your work. You can tell the people who've actually listened to your songs if you're a musician.
It's
who's
the
actually
same as my videos. I can tell the people who've watched the videos
by what they say. If all they have to say is wonderful, it's pretty lame. But the ones that can go like. Example, I have one of my author buddies read I recently reached out and he went, "Hey, loves the book, just hate the format." And I said,
shit.
And he goes, you didn't indent any of your paragraphs. And I went, shit, I didn't. You're right.
How the fuck did you not do that?
It happens, man. It's just a thing, but I was like, shit, you're right. And he goes, no big deal, you can fix it. But it distracted me from fully immersing myself in the book. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But those are the people that actually paid attention and doing it.
And I think that's what Kikomon's getting at here.
Exactly.
Is if it's all positive.
I think I've mentioned this before, but real funny, quick thing. I put 3 intentional misspellings in everything that I write. Just to see if anybody notices.
Fuck you. For $20, Kikomon, get Goat Simulator 3 or Soma for your gaming channel. Yeah, I didn't do anything on the gaming channel this week because I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things, and
it's the holiday week.
Well, I was sick last week, and I did not appropriately manage my time this week to do the Monday and the Wednesday streams.
It's a holiday week. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I'm. It's also known as being fucking lazy, is what it is, and I don't like myself for it. JVP Music, double did. Sir, what the fuck are you doing leaving super chats?
Really? Super chatting
You're on the fucking
video?
stream.
Say, you don't get a cut of this,
yes. Look, thank
I don't
you.
even get a cut of this. YouTube takes like 90% of it.
Do they take 90%?
No, they don't. They don't.
He's
Take
exaggerating.
All right. I hope you get most, but I'm supporting your show. Thank you. Before we get, I know we're getting toward the end, but to Richard and Royce, thank you for exposing this. Really, it means a lot to me. You guys have gained a loyal follower, both of you. So I'm gonna support you guys in whatever you do. If this thing does anything, the two of you are mostly responsible for creating the spark for this. So before we run out of time, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. If you ever want me back on for color, as long as I can check with the wife that we're not doing anything, I'll be here. So I appreciate you guys so much, and I just wanted to say that before the end.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you putting it out there and completing. Man, that's such a huge part of it is follow through. on things. So
I feel like that's a
kudos,
big
man. I hope
thing
it booms, and if this one isn't the one that catches fire, I hope the next issue. Sometimes I think you got to have a little bit of a backlog for people to really,
everything's momentum. If I can get 1,000 views on this and 10,000 views on the next one, I'm in. Everything's directional. I'm in the right direction, so that's good enough for me. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the
6-month cycle.
Is that,
and thanks to Dan too. I'm not, but you're a creator like me, so I just wanted to give a shout out to the reporters.
I'm a writer. There's the PR folks.
Yes.
Oh joy! Did you hear that, Richard? We're just PR.
Yep.
We're not.
More important.
I was going to save my response for the after show. But,
well, we don't get invited to all the fancy writer parties that they get invited to. We're just no. You can wait outside, reporters. We're gonna get you inside with the party, and
no,
we can stay out here and take our pictures as we enter.
I mean, have you ever been in a party with a bunch of writers? I mean, I'm not sure.
No, dude, I've never
really
been to a
be upset.
I've been to barbecues.
Dude, we're boring.
Redneck.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
We are so boring.
Richard's got a good point.
You guys are talking about fancy words and stuff. And,
I drink
oh
Bud
my
Light.
God.
Have you ever been to a party with a bunch of musicians though? Much different party.
Different party. Being the writer at a party full of musicians, though. Wallflower.
I've been to a party with a bunch of minor musicians, and thank God there were not a lot of drugs involved in that one. Although I know a lot of guys who did them. I've heard some stories. I had somebody explain to me the difference between good Coke and bad Coke. Never done it, but I can tell you the difference. And I'm like, how do you know that? Oh no, dude, all you have to do is, I'm like, what? Yeah. I was the good kid. Oh, it's fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are drawing near to the end of the evening. But before we go, I think it is time that we say good night and good evening and Happy New Year to my fantastic co-hosts and our absolutely awesome guests, which, dude, those clips were fucking incredible. I don't know if my favorite's 2 or 3. I'm in between 2 or 3.
I'm glad you enjoyed them.
But before we sign off, let's start with the sign-offs and say, JVP Music, how would you like to sign off? And if there's a link that you would like to share, hit it in the private chat. We'll share it down below in the regular chat. But
just thank you again. I mean, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of you guys taking the time to have me on and talk to me and getting to know everybody. I mean, that's it, really. There's no website. There might be a website coming in the future.
There needs to be a website.
Yes and no, right? I mean, we've Project Full Blade, the tabletop that we just killed. We had a website. It was a grand website. I spent forever on it. Didn't make a difference. Just focus on building your crowd first. Be good to your crowd and then monetize. So that's kind of my plan. Like Ruthless, it's live. It's live right now. I just switched it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
I gotta watch it.
Go listen, subscribe. It's for free. The issues that I'm going to release after this will probably be for free. I will look to maybe make some merch or some physical mediums that I'll sell down the road, but I'm going to earn it. I want to make you guys happy before I ask for your money. Thankfully, I'm in a position now where I'm good with money. This creation is not about money to me. It's about quality and about connecting with people and just getting people to like what I'm creating. So that's where I'm coming from. I'll ask for your money later after I've earned it. But yeah, thank you, Royce. Thank you, Richard. Again, if anything happens, you guys are the ones that created the spark. Dan, you're the one that I met last, but I think we probably connected more than anybody. As soon as you knew who Nobuo Uematsu was and we went deep, I'm like, okay, Dan's legit. So Again.
Thanks. I appreciate
I
it.
think you and I are going to have a conversation
You
really
hear that,
soon.
Richard?
Yeah.
We created the spark, but we're not special enough for the relationship.
We're the matchmakers. Yeah, that's
No,
bridesmaids.
It's all about the lower half bromance.
What? Yeah, well, you know what? They talk a lot of crap, Dan, but notice who they put on the bottom of the stream, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'll compromise with you. Not website, landing page. You need some sort
fair
of
enough. All right, good point.
easy link.
Yeah,
that
landing
you can,
page.
that you can put out there for everybody.
Yeah,
There
if
you
you
go.
got, if you guys need any favors, you need a new intro for Iron Age Knights, Richard. If you need anything, let me know.
That'd be badass.
Thank you again, and that's it.
Hit
Sub
me
to
up,
my
goods.
Twitter, sub to my YouTube. I'll keep it that simple. Those links are already probably out there. So
Yeah, man.
I would say this.
And, I'm definitely going to be in contact with you, JVP. I got some things we want to talk to you about.
sure, absolutely.
All right.
All right.
And who do I go with? Do I go with Mr. Daniel P. Riley, or do I go with Richard from Iron Age Media?
I always defer to Richard. Go on, man.
All right, yeah, let's do him.
All right. Well, one thing that we talked about tonight was, mixing either narration or music with stories. And this month, I'm going to start doing prompts. I'm not entirely sure how frequent, if they're going to be weekly or bi-weekly, but in addition to the short story and art prompts, I'm going to start putting forth some sections from our previously featured short stories for people to narrate and record clips of. So if you'd like to do a little bit of reading for somebody, please go ahead and check that out, or at least, keep an eye on the website. I'll be announcing it there. As I mentioned before, we've got our latest featured story, and articles will be resuming this coming week on Monday. I took the week in between Christmas and New Year's off for new articles, since I figured it's kind of probably not fair to people, since it's a very low traffic time anyway. So,
All right.
I like that audio narration idea. That's great, because not only does it, cast the net even wider, but it gets some people that may be wanting to get into voice acting an opportunity to build their portfolio.
Yes. And I think, people have, several people have mentioned that having something a little bit different, even if it's just a short reading from a book, is a good way to kind of go that extra mile for getting people to actually make the purchase. So I want to connect people and try and get projects fired up and all that jazz.
Yeah, man.
The voice acting thing. God,
I'm going to get Royce to do audiobooks of my stuff for me.
Wait, no. What the fuck? No.
What
What do you mean? No, don't be a dick like that.
Make a Saved by the Bell and for Zombieland story, and have Royce narrate that.
There you go.
Zach Morris.
Like I love doing voices because they're fun. I've done them for years. I actually, in one of the bathroom breaks I took, my daughter runs around the corner and she goes, "Dad," and I'm like, "Daddy has to go to the bathroom, get back to stream." What? And she goes, "I have a Stitch," and it's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And my brain can help it. Like, while you guys are talking about some ungodly important stuff, and I have to run to the bathroom, and my daughter shows me the Stitch, I'm like, "Get a smista," and she's like, "What?" And she goes, "Wait, Daddy, you sound like Stitch." And she goes, "Daddy, sound like Stitch," and I'm like, and I really had to go to the bathroom because I have had far too much to drink tonight. But it's my daughter, and I'm like, "Stop touching me. No, why are you touching me?" And so she starts running into, "Guys, Daddy sounds like Stitch." And I'm like, "I have to go to the bathroom. Stop it." So it's fun to do voices. It's fun to do those things. It's fun to be able to sit there, and especially because I love doing the vocal stuff. Sometimes I get to do things that are really really fun, and I get to sound like the Joker sometimes. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a drink with Crazy. And sometimes I get to do stuff like that. And I can't quite nail the Mark Hamill Joker. I'm close, though. I'm trying.
Nice.
Was it close? It probably wasn't close. That one's fun, though. Or you get the Butthead voice, you get all that stuff like that, the Cartman voice, things that I practiced for years only because I grew up with them, and they're just fun as hell. And I question whether or not I should throw my hat in that ring. And not because I'm passionate about voice acting, but because it's just really fun. And I might be okay enough that I could do something for some people for free that need it. I'm not good enough to be paid, but I might be better than...
Come on.
The only way you're going to know is by doing it.
I was going to say, just check out the prompts this week and see if anything grabs you. And when one grabs you, then try it out.
Yeah, I'm just going to browbeat him into reading mine for me.
I don't say it in because the voice acting, it's fun to do just for fun. But man, there are a lot of people out there looking for voice actors and for things like that, and they might not be able to pay a voice actor. And I'm like, you know what? I might be an amateur, but I don't know, maybe I could pull something off that works for them, at least for free. That's a proof of concept. Well, if I could be like a proof of concept voice actor just to help people out, I don't know.
I'll tell you what, Royce, if you write a 5 to 10 minute story and just voice act it and record it, send it to me. I won't go crazy. I'll just lay some simple music behind it and I'll send it back to you. You don't have to release it, just as a practice. If you're curious about it and you want like a little bit of production boost to see, hey, if I had this and this and this, how would it sound? I'll help you out with that. That's the least I could do for you. So if you're interested, we can do something like that.
And it's not so much as that. It's more to the point that there are a lot of people. I have been approached by some subscribers of the channel, and I've turned them down for the voice acting stuff. And ever since the first person that approached me, it's just been this gnawing thing in my head, because it's like, well, my channel is to support the other guys out there. That's what I have committed my channel to, is to support the creators out there. And when a creator came and asked me to do some voice work for them, and I was like, look, dude, I just don't have the time. It has been eating away at me ever since.
They planted the seed.
They did, damn it. And but if for some reason I can offer that to somebody and I can make time for it and I can actually do a voice that they're looking for, maybe I should.
I'm just going to browbeat you until you say yes. And you're also going to get paid. It's just the way it works.
No, well, I'm not, but I don't want to get paid. I want...
Too bad.
Or at least bartered. How about that?
How about this? How about this? You make
definitely going to get
how about this?
some
How about
sort
this?
of compensation for it.
You guys make a story that I can put in my kids' hands. That's
I've
it.
done that.
That's all I want. That's all I want. Is I want my kids to have good stories. And you know what?
That's all
I will say this. So, and I'm working on this one, but George Alexopoulos, he did Goofberry Pie. My youngest daughter loved it so much that not only do we have to read Goofberry Pie to her multiple times a week, but my wife had to make a Goofberry Pie.
Nice.
And it's fantastic. And he's talking about trying to doing like animated shorts and all that. And
if anybody can pull it off, George can.
Yeah. And he was like, but we have to get we've got to get voice worked on, this, that, and the other thing. And I didn't want to be so arrogant as to be like, well, I mean, I don't know how top tier you want the voice work, but I mean, like, if you want somebody who can change their voice and do at least, you know, possibly lower than mediocre tier, I can be your guy.
I think you'll do fine. I hate
I
the
don't
sound
know.
of my voice, but I keep getting told I should narrate my own books.
Dude, I understand that feeling like you have no idea. And with that being said, I've gone on too long about me, and it's starting to get uncomfortable to talk about me. I really don't like this. It's not fun. I don't like this. I don't know how I got into this, but basically what I'm trying to say is I want to support people out there. And I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice.
Except he talks all day long.
Just gotta say, I don't know if I believe that, but yeah.
Well, you guys are a bunch of dicks. But
fucking bird, dude.
Fucking what's
I
think
think
you
do. I think you have a great voice, a great voice. I am half hard right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh God, no.
3 minutes 11, or 3 hours 11 minutes. I'm just tagging the note for everybody else that wants to clip this.
I hate you all. No, I felt bad. I turned down one of my subscribers that asked me a while back, and I felt bad about it ever since. And I don't know. I guess that's just one of those things. It's like, you know what? There are a lot of artists and creators out there that are looking to break through. They're looking to find some help. And I turned somebody down. And how the hell can I say that I'm the guy to help him out if I turn him down? And I don't like that. And if I can at least offer an amateur voiceover work, that's what I need to do, because I support you means I support you. And it's when I was in a band, I have a lot of people, oh, we support you. We support you. They would never show up to the shows. They never bought the albums. They wouldn't even click like on Facebook when I was in a band. And you know what? When I get people who are like, look, I want to do an audio book. I need help with the voiceover work. And it doesn't matter about my time. And when I say, you know what, dude, I can't. Because sometimes I can't even buy these guys' books. And it's just been bothering me. Maybe I support you. All right, you know what? Fuck, if somebody comes up and
the best we can, Royce.
Yeah, you can't expect the world. And if you don't get support, like maybe it's you. maybe you need to get good.
But it's
I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying
to
help.
But here's the thing: is I know the people who've asked me the questions and they're actually telling good stories. I have the DMs.
Yes, yeah.
And I feel bad for turning these guys down. And it's just something that's been on my brain. And that's why I'm talking about it now. It's been on my brain. It's been asked of me a time or two. And
it's all my fault, people.
Yeah, fuck you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
No, you're not. No. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been A Drink with Crazy. I hope that you have all had an absolutely fantastic time. We're going to go into the outro, and which is kind of an outro, but not really an outro. But, you know, it's sort of an outro. But, you know, it's there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out Friday night show, Iron Age Nights. I am extremely tired. You know what?
And a bit drunk.
Maybe. I'm it's more tired than drunk. I'm extremely tired right now. But you know what? Hey, let's do the thing. Let's make it sound like it's official. Let's do the
It's always official.
No, it's, well, kind of. So we start getting chats. It's like, do you guys know that you're live still? Yes, we do.
It's officially insane is what it is.
We have to stop explaining it to him. That's the thing.
I know. Well, some people need help.
I have been holding on to a peanut butter cup donut for 3 hours that I finally.
Just do what I did and turn off the camera and suck that thing down.
No, man, I want to savor this. This thing is a work of art. I actually almost feel bad about eating it.
That's funny.
It'll be part of the
I
after
actually
show.
don't remember the last time I've had a donut.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I have this weird thing about peanut butter. It's one of my favorite snacks.
I think I took a piece of candy from the kids during Halloween. Well, I'm a parent. That's the parent tax.
Are we still live?
Maybe.
Yes,
Who
maybe.
wants to know? Don't.
We're
Don't
always
go against-
live.
We should
This
always
show never
warn the
ends.
guests.
Did you know that?
We should tell the guests that we're doing it.
I know. Well, we should, but I didn't.
Our other guests have died.
It's
They
really-
just, ran
well, see,
out.
We do this because it's really funny when people who don't know the show are like, "You guys are still live. You're still live. What are you doing?" It's like, guys, it's fine. It's fine.
We know.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining Iron Age Nights. We will see you next Friday.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year,
New Year's.
everybody.